All right. Should probably mute that. All right, so is the stream live? Yeah, it looks like it's live. That's good. Gotta put on my favorite song. This is there was a period of time where I almost thought about putting this as my like intro to some of my videos, you know, if and when I get back into videos. Doing this is like my little like 5-second intro at the beginning, you know, kind of like how my collectibles does it. I think Sleeping Comics is like a similar intro as well, but of course we got Pixel Trader in the house. I'm gonna go ahead and bring him on here in a few minutes. Execu Speak, always here, always supporting. I appreciate it, of course. Let's see. And I did mention he's excited for the vibe stream. Let's go. All right, more Execu Speak. I'm here for it. Worked all day. This is the first stream I've been able to catch today. Yeah, dude. I got home pretty late today. I stopped work at like, I didn't get off work till like, I was supposed to be off at 5, but I had to work overtime a bit. Got home at like 6. I was starving, and I'm like, dude, I gotta stream in like 30 minutes. I ran home, showered, got ready, and just had to like get ready for the stream like all in time. So yeah, but dude, like everyone's going live today because the Hulk announcement, the over-the-counter thing, the whole there's a lot of stuff going on. So I don't think there's going to be any shortage of topics to talk about here with Pixel Trader here. So yeah, lots of stuff to talk about. He gave me a couple items too that he kind of wanted to talk about as well, but we're gonna keep this relatively free form, just kind of just like keeping an eye on chat, see what you guys are interested in, and then just kind of go from there. I like to keep these not even like interviews. It's just this is more just free form, right? You're just talking. It's almost like you're just having a drink with your buddy, or you're just kind of just shooting the shit, talking about whatever, right? But obviously we're going to talk about some serious topics and then some topics that are a bit more laid back, maybe centered around veve, NFTs, different topics, things like that. So all right, give me a sec here. What's your secret? It's not my secret to give. Tito 420. Joey says Hulk is not going to sell out. We'll see. We'll see. It really depends at the end of the day. And I think, you know, I've talked to Pixel Trader a couple times. Me and him kind of are on the same page about a few things, as you guys will see here. But I'm kind of curious to see what the Hulk thing is. Lots of drama yesterday, and today, veve-wise, looking forward to seeing how anything is their, how anything their AMA is. Yeah, we'll see. It's a very good thing to bring up. So let me just double check here, see if Pixel Trader is available to hop on. I kind of have him in like in the backstage. And if you guys were hoping for a face reveal, I'm sorry. We're just doing this over Discord, but we were able to keep the keep everything going. So Joey Puna Collectibles, aka Tucson Collectibles. So all right, I'm gonna go ahead and bring on Pixel Trader right now. So I just have the background defaulted to kind of like the platinum moments, but here we have Pixel Trader. A lot of you guys know him. Been pretty active, I would say. You've been on veve for a while, but it sounds like you've been pretty active in the community, I would say, over the last few months. Would you say?
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, I think I joined October 2021, a little bit before Golden Moments, and didn't make a Twitter or do anything involving Twitter until veve, and now I'm pretty active in veve. I recognize a lot of people chat, and I see people in spaces quite a bit, so yeah.
Yeah. Do you mind just moving back from your mic a bit, or like turning down Because we were experimenting earlier and it sounded fine, but I don't know if you were just like talking a bit closer. But at least for me, it sounded a bit.
Is that better? I didn't change anything, but
yeah, that's perfect. Cool.
Okay.
So you read in the comments, and I'm just like I said, I kind of like to just be freeform with this. So some people were saying, like, oh, Hulk isn't gonna sell out. What's your secret? Which we'll talk about that a little bit later. So what do you think about Hulk not selling out? Do you think there's a chance that Hulk doesn't sell out, or like what do you think is the determining factor of it, like potentially selling out or not?
Well, it's funny because as soon as I saw the veve official post, I got excited. And if you've been in spaces around, like, there's so much drama and chaos and conspiracies going around, or FUD if you want to call it that, and everyone was like, watch them drop like FA Hulk or Captain America or like something big, to kind of like cheer everybody up again. And then sure enough, earlier they dropped the FA Hulk collectible. But when I first saw it, I was excited. I was like, oh my gosh, it's here. I was looking for details. All it said is that it's animated, and that it's first appearance. So that was really, really cool. But then I looked at it a little closer. I'm like, okay, I don't know if I love the look of this, but it's a big deal. And a lot of people, it's going to bring, excitement to the app, money to the app. But at the end of the day, it always comes down to the same thing as how many mints. And it sounds like it's just one collectible, but what is the drop price and how many mints is kind of unfortunately all that matters. It could be a huge deal, or it could be kind of like a skip for some people if there's like 10,000 mints or something.
Yeah, I think that's something we've talked about before, and it really just comes down, especially like in a bear market, like mint number and box price. Like how many are there going to be, and what's the box price of it? I think a big determining factor too is like rarities, or like if there's. I've noticed that when something has a single rarity, it'll obviously tend to do pretty well. But if there's like two rarities, like let's say there's an ultra rare Hulk and like a uncommon or like a rare Hulk or whatever, almost always, I mean, it depends on the mints, right? But it seems like the lower one always goes like below box, but the higher one is always like double or triple box value. But you always have like a 1 in 7 or like a 1 in 10 chance of getting the ultra rare. So I mean, do you feel like this Hulk drop is going to be a single drop, or is it going to be 2 drops? Like, what do you think is going to be? Because we don't have the full article just yet.
Yeah, if you bring up the Twitter post, and I shared the link in there too, if you want to share the screen.
Yeah, I can drag it over.
It sounds like, just by looking at it real quickly, it might change. Usually they give us more info if it's like blind box or multiple, but from the quick look at it, it just looks like it's a single item, or at least there's one of them that is animated. I like the single item drops because then, like Silver Surfer or some of the other ones, like it makes it a little bit more special when there's just one version instead of like 3 or 4 or 5 versions of them. I know that's kind of some people's issue with Darth Vader and some other ones. But it really does just depend on the mint size, because at first glance, I mean, it looks cool, but then you kind of zoom in and there's pictures all over Twitter about, kind of poking fun at it because it looks kind of like a PlayStation 3 version of Hulk at first. Like it looks cool, but it looks kind of more like cartoony video game toyish, not like super serious, crazy, badass kind of effect we have with some other collectibles. But it sounds like we're just getting one, or I don't know. I mean, I kind of want it to be a blind box because that's like my only chance ever. If it's ever a single item drop, I just have no luck, like almost ever. So if it's a blind box, it's gonna be better for everybody. If they do that, I really hope they make them like limited, like really limited, like an ultra rare and an uncommon, and like they're both pretty rare, and like that's it.
Yeah, kind of like just like 2 rarities. I feel like the ideal mint size for this would be something like maybe have like let's say if there's a common and an ultra rare or whatever, have the common be like the mint year of like FA Hulk comic, which is like 1960 something, I don't know the exact year, and then have the ultra rare be like, I don't know, like a third of the mints or something like that. So there'd be like 1960 Hulks common. Just, I don't know why that's funny. It was just that concept of like, oh, there's like 1500 Hulks or 1900 Hulks, like whatever, and then the ultra rare, there's like 400 or 500 of them. I think like that amount would be perfect. So it's like, all right, 2500, and then of course blind box means that it's going to sell out. I think a bit better than like if they were separate. But so what do you think the box price is going to be on this? Sorry to cut you off, but
yeah, that was the next thing I was going to talk about, because with veve, sometimes they seem to have a strategy or a process of like the mints and the drop price, and there's certain things like it feels like they really do kind of like nail it down and get it Like the Rabbids drop that we have from Ubisoft, it was like, you know, low box price, low mints, a good variety. Like that felt like a fun drop to go to from all aspects, you know, versus some of the other ones, it's like really high mint price and too scarce, or high mint price and too many mints. It's like it feels like something's always way off, and like, you know, the community will let them know that this is way too expensive or way too many mints, and you're never gonna like get it perfect because everyone has a different opinion, of course. But I don't know what they're gonna do with this because they know that the community, there's a lot going on. People are kind of frustrated, so I don't know if they're gonna drop the price, you know, to something more reasonable, or they're gonna try to keep this really, really, you know, exclusive and crank up the price because Hulk is a big deal. But then I don't know if they're gonna crank up the mints as well because they're thinking we're in a bear market, users are down, but who cares? We're looking at 5-10 years in the future, so we need 10,000 Hulks or 20,000. I don't know. They could easily do that. So like I don't know what to expect. I'm kind of hoping it's affordable, but it's also scarce as well. Or, you know, I just, for some reason, if the mints are going to be high, it needs to be cheap. Otherwise, a lot of people are just not going to go for it, unfortunately.
Exactly. I'm trying my best to do like a like a Green Hulk background ish thing going on, but so is your guess like 60 gems for this, just box price? It seems to be pretty standard for Marvel on these types of things. Is that what you think it'll be, or be
I'm
more
guessing
or less?
they're considering it similar to maybe like you know, Thor and some of the other ones, because those are all I think 50 or 60 gems. I'm trying to think of a Marvel drop recently to kind of compare it to. I think Silver Surfer and some of those other ones, I think those are, I don't remember, those 40 or 50 gems. Maybe those are 62. I don't remember, but 60 kind of sounds like a lot. But if they were gonna pull it off, Hulk is something you could pull it off on for sure if the mints are low enough. But the thing is, we're in such a tricky market. I don't think veve cares to sell out. They just want to say they have FA Hulk, bring in some money. But
yeah,
if I had to take a quick guess, then yeah, maybe like 2,500 mints and 50 or 60. But I feel like they want to charge a premium. If you lowball Hulk on the drop price, it's gonna feel kind of weird because there's other items that are not nearly as popular that are, you know, 40, 50, 60 gems. So if you drop Hulk for $30, people are gonna be like, what? But
yeah, exactly. Well, I'm just gonna read off some of these comments. We'll start off the one kind of talking about the Hulk. It says, looks like Hulk just hit the bubbler, so it looks like he was smoking weed, you know, the bong and all that shit. I mean, it does look kind of true. Bob Sales, what's up, dude? Thanks for stopping by. And then Justin also wants to know, what do you think of the color matched logo? Did you notice that in the top right, the veve logo? Do you think that actually means anything, or is that just like the theme of the drop and they're just kind of matching it?
I don't think it means anything as far as like it's a special like green always equals something. I think it's more the fact that I've seen them use yellow, orange, green, I think purple and yellow. So I think they just kind of match whatever they're talking about, which is kind of cool that it's like veve and they're branding themselves as we are part of Hulk and, you know, we represent kind of. So if it's Disney and it's blue, they're gonna have a blue veve or green veve or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's kind of cool. I actually kind of like it. I think that veve looks clean.
Yeah, the different colors. Kind of off topic, but super quick. Did you buy the Starry Night drop? It was difficult to get. Did you? I think you know about that drop, right? But did you go for it?
Yep, I knew about that one. I knew about the Mona Lisa one as well. I wasn't able to even go for Mona Lisa. I was kind of getting ready to do that, but I wasn't able to. But I heard it was kind of a disaster on the drop because technical difficulties, and it's a newer drop system that they have there, and a lot of as usual, a lot of veve people are moving to other things to try them out, right? Whether it's HRO or whatever. So they're going through their bumps in the road, but I didn't go for the second one. That's kind of what I said. The drop prices are a little high in my opinion, but if you get one, you can usually flip it for pretty good price. They usually double or a time and a half or something. But I didn't go for the latest one. I felt like if I was gonna go for one, I want the Mona Lisa. It's the biggest, it's the most famous. These other drops they release after, unless they're really, really, really big, I might pass unless I play them just to flip them. But it sounds like a lot of people went for it and had just so many issues they didn't have a chance to land the drop.
Yeah. Justin says, minting a veve NFT is like buying at the dealership. Your car loses 30% of its value immediately with fees. I think that's, to a certain extent, it's true, right? It completely depends on the drop. I mean, if we're talking something like certain comics, or if we're talking like giant size X-Men, like, okay, it's like guaranteed profit. You just need to land the drop, right? But there are certain ones where like I feel like most of the time people know like, all right, I'm going for this, and I know this is a gamble. Like, I know there's a chance that these bottom 3 rarities are going to go below box. The ultra rare is going to be a little bit above, and like the secret rare, of course, is going to be like 3 or 4 times box price. So I guess it depends on the thing, but like it definitely does feel like that, right? Where like you just drive off the lot and you're like, wow, I instantly lost 40 or 60% of my money because I got unlucky. Right?
Yeah, I think everyone's strategies had to change. I feel like the only people really going for like just every drop now are either new or don't care, and they kind of want the pride of they minted one, you know, they're the only person on the history, or they want to support the drop in some way, or they're people who just don't care, you know, money, and they just want to play all the drops. But everyone's strategy has changed because, you know, wasn't too long ago, it felt like you went for every single drop. They're always profitable, some more profitable than others. And now it's like you skip literally like 15 out of 16 drops, you're just skipping completely. You're not even touching them. But there's also not too many drops that there's like one item and it's guaranteed profit. It's more like you said, people are gambling to get the secret rare. People are gambling to get, you know, something that's profitable. So for me, I'm a lot more picky on the ones I play, but we haven't had something in a while that's like a single item that's guaranteed profitable. You know, even with platinum moments, there's 4 of them, but you had to pick a specific one. The potion one, I think, will be very profitable if you get it. That's only one item, but it depends on the mints. And actually, I just looked up the Silver Surfer, and that was 6,100 mints. So take off the VV, you know, around 6,000 mints for 60 gem Silver Surfer. So if they do that, it's going to be rough. But if they do half that or a quarter of that, you know, this could be, you know, one of the higher tier collectibles on the app.
Yeah, and speaking of the potion, gosh, I'm trying to remember. I think it was Ryan.
Yeah,
I think
Ryan
we've kind of
posted some more details about the potion.
Yeah, because I think we've kind of talked enough about Hulk. I mean, we don't know anything. Like, I think the Medium article is gonna explain it all. So as of right now, like, we can speculate on like the box price and the mint size. But so Ryan posted here, says, "Hey fam. Here's some answers to your questions for the transformative potion," which even then, like, there's still a couple questions I have personally that was not answered or was not like listed on here. It says the first 40 mints are held back, and additional 50 random mints are withheld. Okay, that makes sense. Does the collectible mint match the poster if you choose to uncap the potion? No. So I think by default, what that means is that it's going to match the mint of the potion, right?
Yeah,
Like
it's kind of weird they didn't say that directly, but it's got to either be that or just they add up. You know, like if you're the first person to do it or the 10th person, it just kind of adds up. It's got to be one of those because it can't be random and it can't match the collectible. So
yeah, that part was confusing because it's I think we talked about it briefly one day, or I was kind of curious about it. Was you know, let's say you're literally the first person to get the potion. You play it on drop, you land it. You were literally one of the first people to have it delivered. You have all the posters, or maybe you just have a Dumbo poster. You literally are the first one to uncork the potion and activate it or do whatever, and you get the poster, the airdrop, because it says down here, I mean, we're jumping down to number 6. Does uncapping the potion give you the poster immediately? It says there's no waiting for delivery, and it says yes. So does that mean if you are literally the first person to open the bottle, like in the whole like VV community, does that mean you get mint number 41? Or are you getting a random mint and it's just, or is the mint, is it a random mint? Is it a 41, or do you get the mint number matching the potion because the potion is randomized, right?
Yep.
So
yeah, you're exactly right, and so much of VV is based around mint numbers, and that's kind of why I think people are in an uproar about the whole OTC thing. So much of its value is about the mint number. So you're right, we don't know if you mint first. Is it you know, number 41, or is it the mint number of the potion? Because if it matches, or sorry, if it's in order and people find that out, people are going to start minting really, really quickly, right? Because they want to get like sub 100s. But if it's just matches your potion, I think people are going to wait, and then the potions with really good numbers, you know, people are going to ask for a ton of money for those, which is smart.
Yeah. So we'll read some of these other ones. Will you be able to watch in real time what is being burned? It says no, but regular updates will be made until uncapping deadline, so people can make a more informed decision. Okay, so right now it's just saying that, like, if someone burns, let's say day 1 someone burns, let's say 100 potions get used, all that means is that it's not going to be reflected on the app that there's 100 less. Like, you just kind of have to guess. I guess you have to go strictly just go based off of how many posters are on the market. You can kind of just guesstimate how many potions got burned, and that's assuming, right? Like everyone posted it, but there's a lot of people that are gonna burn the potion for a poster and just not put it up. So,
Yeah, and I think all or most of the plays are going to be like the first hour or even the first day it comes out. There's going to be a lot of activity of people either stacking collectibles or stacking potions or flipping potion or burning potions into, like, I don't know exactly what everyone's going to do. And then the day of when they all expire is probably going to get crazy as well, because then you can really have like your last chance to make a move. But I'm excited. I think a lot of people are excited about the potion drop, which is good for the app. And no one knows what to expect. Everyone has different strategies. But yeah, it's gonna be good. And the fact that Disney of all people and all companies is the one playing with the mints is actually pretty exciting. So
mhm.
if they do other mechanics or they bring it to Marvel or something else, that's pretty exciting actually that they're gonna do this.
Mhm. Yeah. And so it says here, is there any animation to the potion when you uncap it? Yes. Is the potion itself as a collectible changed for each collection? It says yes. Because this does say Series 1 transformation potion or transformative potion. So maybe this one's purple, the next one is green for a different drop, and the next one is yellow. Like, it could definitely change each one. But this is going to be the first potion, the first, like, live burn mechanic. And some people are saying, like, oh, this is the first burn mechanic on veve. Technically no, because Marvel's been burning collectibles since November of last year. That's when they did the very first, like, hey, we're burning these comics and these collectibles because they haven't sold out, which is a kind of another topic. We'll talk about that later, because I do think that is, I could have sworn Marvel already burned some comics, didn't they? I thought I saw my collectibles video like 4 or 5 days ago saying like Marvel already burned some comics that were unsold in the store.
Yep.
So I'm not...
Yeah, there's good. I don't have the list with me. I had it somewhere, but there's a good amount of comics that I don't think they announce them anymore. They just burn them, which is kind of cool because it's making the lower tier stuff more rare, or the less expensive stuff, a little bit more rare. But I think for collectibles, I'm trying to remember the exact guidelines. I think for collectibles they will give you notice, but I believe for comics they're not going to say anything. It's just going to happen.
Yeah. And so at least with potions, what do you think is going to happen with the potions? Kind of like, what have you heard in the community around potions? Like, are people just going to gobble these up, or do you think people are like overhyping this? Are people just going to keep it, or are they going to redeem it? Like, what do you think is going to happen with the potions, like on drop day?
Well, there's always both sides, positives and negatives. There's some people who are gonna make jokes or fun or be negative just for attention that are already saying it's all gonna go to bots and don't even bother going for it, or whales are just gonna gobble them all up. So there's that aspect, but in general, overall, I think it's a good thing. And some of the strategies I'm seeing are some people are saying, I'm going to buy 10 the first day or 50 the first, like, just no matter what. Like, doesn't matter the price. I'm going to lock in 10 and then wait. There's some people are saying they're going to buy, one for every collectible and use it immediately. The thing is, no one knows what price range to expect. So that's kind of the tricky part as well. But I think almost everybody wants it. So that naturally is going to force the popularity and force the price up. But yeah, some people are also saying, just wait it out. If prices go crazy, wait for them to, go expired, and then maybe later people dump them. But I feel like there's enough people that really want to buy them and hold them, just because, veve, it says stuff sometimes, but it changes later. So maybe in the future, although they've said multiple times the potions are only for this drop, there's no future anything expected to be used. But they're probably going to drop future potions, and so maybe if you own all the potions, you get something, right? Like, we have no idea what to expect, but a lot of people want them, and I feel like they're probably going to get pretty expensive. And depending, I mean, the fact that there's 1,900 something, I mean, it only takes 2 or 3 people with a lot of money to like gobble up a huge amount of them, and then it's like it's out of everyone's price range. So we're just watching. But there's probably going to be a good amount of people who don't really know or care, and they just want profit. So 2x, flip it for $60, 60 gems. A lot of people might do that, hopefully, and just, we're in a bear market. Everyone's bleeding for gems. So hopefully that happens. But I have a feeling there's going to be a crazy amount of activity tomorrow on the market. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm kind of just going to play it by ear. Of course, I want to get some to hold, maybe use, depending on the prices of the the posters, and that's something I've mentioned before, is that they're going to kind of play in tandem, right? So if there's a poster that's extremely expensive, like $500, the Minnie Mouse poster, then if someone could just do the math real quick and say, okay, the potion costs $100 and the collectible costs $150, I 250 and I can sell it for 500. Like that's easy money. That's even at after fees, that's a huge ROI, like almost double. So that the prices are going to be all over. I have a feeling people are going to be messing around building floors and removing listings and all kinds of silly stuff. So to be safe, it's probably a good idea just to get one and lock it in and then just see what you want to do with it versus like rushing into a decision.
Yeah, and I think what's most likely going to happen, and only because the way it's set up, is that I think the posters, or I think actually the platinum moments are going to fluctuate in price based on the price of the potions and the posters. So I think the actual platinum moments are going to be the reactive ones in this scenario, because at the end of the day, I can have a Dumbo platinum moment and 1,000 potions, or maybe not 1,000, say 10 potions. I could make 10 posters with one platinum moment. Some people that might have doubles of platinum moments are like, oh, I don't need this. And I actually think the platinum moments are actually going to dump either during or shortly after, or anytime revolving around the potion. So
right, or if like you said, maybe the posters get really expensive, and then people just buy up all the collectibles, so you can't even make them anymore. Or maybe vice versa, right? Some will say, I'm gonna make the floors of all the collectibles double, and then now the posters pump because that pumped, and then they reset. Like, there's so many things you could do, but the fact that the key in my mind is the potion, because that gives you options to go either way. Just hold it and keep it, to sell it for profit during the hype, or to transmute it, to use it and burn it to do something else. But yeah, it's some people might get burned because they wait too long to sell it. I'm hoping a lot of people just kind of flip it really quickly just because they want the profit. But I want to have a couple to either resell, and then also a couple to, I think it's going to get really interesting, like Bob Sales is saying, is after they expire, I could easily see it doing either thing. It could dump 50% because they're done, or it could pump 200% because people are like, well, it's expired, it's extra rare, FA utility, and then it just, like, we have no idea what to expect. There's probably 10 people that are going to like massively control the potion market.
All right, awesome. And so actually, based on kind of what's saying here, because Dino actually asked a question. He said, one more, what happens to all of the remaining posters after the deadline for the potion? Currently we have 1,923 of each. The total amount should be VV's 90 plus however many the community make of each poster. So basically, what Ryan is saying here, he said, all of the unredeemed posters are burned as part of the mechanism being performed. The only posters on the marketplace will be the ones the community redeems through uncapping the potion. Thanks for your patience. So based on what he's saying, or what Ryan is saying, it almost insinuates that the posters are already pre-minted. Like they already exist. They already exist, and then when someone redeems one, it's almost random, like what you get. So I think it's more random what you get, and then any unredeemed potions, because I mean they only need to make 1,900 and whatever, right? Kind of like what Dino said. And any that are left over after the deadline, they just get burned and they don't exist. So
yeah, I think it was veve Omi Daily Burn, or Omi Daily Burn, who checked, I think, a couple of days ago, and he said that they're already minted. Like they've already they made them a couple of days ago. They're just sitting there. But yeah, I don't recall if they minted all of them or whatever. But it sounds like, like you said, they make them ahead of time and then they're gonna burn them. Maybe they give you random mint numbers then.
Yeah. So yeah, kind of like what I mean. And these are the kind of questions, right, that like the community's really asking. So I kind of like how Dino chimed in on here.
Dino and a couple other guys are like, they're constantly in spaces, and they're good about kind of poking veve to get clarity, because there's some things that I know veve's busy and they got a lot of stuff going on, but when they release a drop, especially if it's got like utility and burns and like all these things that we can do that's kind of more creative, like we need specifics, because we're spending a lot of money sometimes on things that we don't want to find out the hard way. Like we need to find out the specifics. So I'm glad Ryan got back to us, but yeah.
I kind of like this. I kind of like this question here. It says, what are the potions that veve is holding back? Are the potions that veve is going to hold back going to be uncapped or left alone? And Ryan's like, great question. I don't know that answer. Like basically saying like, are the ones that veve's holding, are they gonna use them or just keep them unopened? So
yeah.
I mean, at least he's honest. So I'm just gonna look at the chat here really quick. So Tito420 says, Vibes, are you going to buy a position? I think he means potion in the market. Will you keep or burn them for the posters? So personally, I don't know what my price point is, but I do want to get multiples of the potion, and I'll likely sell all but one if I do get like double profit or whatever. Like I'm not sure where my targets are, because I do think the potions will do really, really well in the market, like to be quite honest. So let's say I bought 4 of them for around 50, and let's say it just jumps up to like 120 for whatever reason. I'd probably sell 3 of them and like keep 1 just on hand. And then if it goes back down, probably buy a bit more. I don't know. That's kind of my plan. Do you have a strategy yourself with the potions? I mean, you don't have to get specific with numbers or how many you plan to get or anything like that, but you have like a similar idea?
Yeah, similar to yours. If I get one on drop, I pay 30 gems. It's different than if I'm buying one on the market for 80 gems later. But I do agree that it's good to probably get a small stack, 2, 3, 4, whatever, and make some plays that day, and lock in your profits, or like you said, if things go crazy, sell some off and just hold. I feel like it's good to have at least one, because you don't know what to expect. I mean, one whale could come in for whatever reason and drop 10 grand, and like the floor price is like $900, and like that's it, and all the other ones got burned or used or stacked or whatever. So probably similar. I'm gonna watch the market. If I get lucky in the drop, I'm probably just gonna hold it. But if I paid 30 gems and the price is 150, then I'll probably sell one. But it just depends on. I'm not gonna FOMO for sure. I think there is some fluctuation, because that's one thing we see on veve a lot is, even if someone sweeps a floor, as soon as people notice that, they start undercutting pretty heavily. Yeah,
because I'm seeing here. Let's see. Bob Sales also asked if the hard bit is, I think, more. Dude, I don't know what's wrong with my chat thing. It's like kind of highlighting here. Let me do this. I might have to actually close this and reopen it. Might fix it. Chat.
But I'm curious for the chat. If you guys miss the drop, if you do not win anything on the drop, are you gonna jump in that same day no matter what, or do you have a price target, like anything under $50 or $60? Or I mean, I've heard some people saying it's gonna be $100, within an hour. So like, I'm curious actually for the chat, like, what is your buy-in? Are you just gonna be patient, watch it, and then just kind of let it go if it goes too high?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about that, because for me, it really depends. Like, don't get me wrong, like I really want one. But at the same time, like, I'm definitely not going to chase it. It just starts really running away. It starts getting like 150, 200. I don't know, like it's kind of hard to tell, but I really think this thing could take off. It's one of those, in my opinion, it's one of those like kind of historical pieces. Just veve history. It's one of those just weird things that I could totally see like 5, 10, 15 years from now, where it's just like, all right, it's just a historical piece on veve, and that's just like what it is. So
yeah, and we've seen on other platforms, whether it's video games or Bored Apes or just other projects, something that, whether it's a card or a pass or a magic spell, once it's, even after it's expired, the fact that, like you said, it's a moment in time, it had a special utility, and chances are it'll be pretty rare. And even though you can't do anything with it, it's kind of like you said, a snapshot in time of a special moment. So for veve, this is like first appearance burn, first appearance utility from Disney. And if they continue to do like lots of cool stuff in the future, you can say, this is where it all started, this little potion thing that I got here.
Yeah. And you've had experience with potions too in other platforms. And I think one thing, and I mean, was there anything else you wanted to talk about the potions or anything like that in the meantime? Because kind of want to segue into kind of like your history. Why, at least I pulled that actually from your profile, because on your profile it says you're a decade-long digital collector. And we've kind of chatted before, and we both found out we both play TF2, or we did play TF2 and did a bit of trading back in the day. But do you mind just kind of like elaborating on that, or like what you mean by decade-long digital collector, and like what you've other projects you've been in?
Yeah, sure. So as of right now, VV's probably one of my bigger investments, but I am involved in at least 15 or 20
Mhm.
other projects on different websites, open seas, like small ones, big ones. But I got into digital items at least 10 or 11 years ago. And it started, with video game markets. They have digital items, whether it's, Dota, Counter-Strike Go, Team Fortress 2. Um, there's even some games before that. They had their own little digital marketplaces. And technically, it's not until now people are starting to talk about it, with other video games. It's like, wait a second, we've had like weapon skins and character models and all this cool stuff that were digital items like a long time ago. I'm like, yeah, exactly. So
Mhm.
they weren't NFTs, they're still owned by Steam or Valve. And, they actually take a cut, they take a percentage of all the sales. But in the same aspect, like even if they were NFTs, on the Steam marketplace or through other games, you wouldn't even notice because you own the item, you can sell it if you want to, you can wear it, you can keep it if you want to. So in that aspect, I did that a lot. I have like probably almost 10,000 trades total between Counter Strike and TF2 and these other digital marketplaces, buying and flipping, buying and holding, collecting grails, and looking for special items. Eventually, I did have one of the top inventories. I think like top 15 or top 20, like in the whole world. And that's only because I kind of did my research early. I dug in really deep. I studied the market and I was just like, in there all the time, hitting people up, messaging people, looking at real life, data and just like anything and everything you can think of to get an edge. I was doing it. And so I became a collector very, very early. I mean, almost a decade ago, in all these digital items and assets. And now it's like a normal thing. You get a video game, whether it's on your phone or the computer, and you just expect there to be microtransactions, skins, character avatars, hats, different loadouts for your like. It's just normal now. But that they kind of kicked it off, and that's kind of where I refined my skills. And now when I saw veve, I was like, you know what, there's a lot of similarities here. So I want to use some of my experience or secrets or whatever to my advantage and apply that to veve. And I do see a lot of similarities, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. And so, just out of curiosity, what's like, because I did some TF2 trading back in the day. It sounds like because you've been doing it for over a decade, so you've been doing it from at least 2013 and earlier. I started probably like 2015, 2016. Made a decent amount of money. I would say I probably made, I don't know, like it's been so long, like 4 or 5 grand, like something like that, like on TF2, and I probably put in $800 to start. I do remember that was like and this is when I was, relatively young, and I did put in like a chunk of money, and I just did a lot of research and stuff. But like, what's like the most expensive digital item on TF2 that you sold? Like probably an unusual hat, I imagine, but what's the most expensive thing you've sold?
I kind of went more for volume. So before I would
Mhm.
just flip everything. I wouldn't really hold anything. And then eventually I got up, good amount of liquidity or cash or digital items that I could use to buy more expensive stuff. And I kind of learned that instead of separating all over and just buying something for like $5 per se and flipping it for 10 or flipping it for 15, it's better to
Mhm.
go in and spend $300 on something and then flip it for like $1,200 or $2,000. And that's kind of where you see the bigger money. And that's the same thing with Pokemon cards, with the VV. Like sometimes the biggest profits and the best ROI is really, really focused down into the most high tier rare things. And that's, if you talk to anyone who did Pokemon cards, think of Randy and I think NFT Pirates and some others have all kind of said the same thing about, early on, it was about building sets and collecting sets and getting cheap stuff and, maybe buying things that you think are look cool that might go up a little bit. But if you wanted to make money, you had to go for the really high tier popular stuff and
Mhm.
kind of focus your energy there. So I did so many. I mean, literally, it's like thousands and thousands and thousands of trades. So it's hard to remember the exact one. The thing I will say that's been kind of funny is that sometimes there's group ones like bundles, like you do 10 things at a time, or like 3 cheap things and like 2 really expensive things that kind of add up to something else. Um, Maybe like 5 grand is like the most expensive single trade. But a lot of those items now, looking back, that I sold, I've literally done 3 or 4 or 5x's. So even for
Yeah.
me, selling something for a quick 2 or 3 or even 4x, sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, I did a 4x in like 6 months or a year,
Yeah.
which is a big deal compared to the stock market. And now they've gone up even more. So like these are all digital items. None of this stuff is real. So
Mhm.
same thing with some of the Counter Strike Go skins, that were like $300 and they're $800 and now they're $2,000. It's like, holy cow, it almost would have been better holding digital items versus, buying Bitcoin or buying stocks or, most things, have not kept up as well as some of these really rare, expensive, digital items.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And so I'm looking up, I actually pulled up backpack.tf. I used this all the time back in the day. I'm trying to remember, like, a key back then, and I mean, there was a lot of RMT going on, so real market, is what it's called? RMT, it's like real market trading or something like that, where people are not just using the in-game items, but they're just straight up paying cash via, back then Venmo didn't exist, but back then it was usually
PayPal or whatever.
Something like that. So, I mean, right now, you can buy a key on the Steam shop for like $2.50 or whatever, but usually people for cash, it's like what, like $1.90 or like $2 typically, something like that.
Well, it's kind of similar to veve in the fact that for veve it's 1-for-1 gem, right? But people for a while could do off-market trades. You could buy gems for like half off or 60% off. So I think so. You can buy it from the actual store, kind of like veve, for full price, which is $2.50 or $2.49, I think.
It's time to
or you could buy it off the secondary marketplace, so somebody else who has a key. Usually those like $2.20 or $2.30 USD. Or you could buy it off market, OTC, or so. You could do that too and trade for someone, and that's how what a lot of the traders did is they bought big bulk. So I would buy hundreds or thousands of keys at one time, and usually it was $1.60 if prices are good. It was like $1.60, $1.70 was pretty normal. At their peak, I think people were paying like $1.90. I think the best deals I ever got, if you bought in bulk from someone who's pretty desperate, you could get them for like $1.30, $1.40 roughly, and then you could technically just sell it to someone else for $1.80 like right away. Or what I would do is put those keys into like grails and popular items, just sit on them, and then ask for someone to buy it and give me a mixed offer or a mixture of cash and virtual items. And a lot of that, like, you're buying at such a low price, you just ask for fair market value, and sometimes you can easily get a double up on your money just right there. And then if you hold on to it, you're kind of savvy, you play around the hype cycles, like you could get 2, 3, 4x if you kind of play your cards right.
Yeah, because I'm looking at some of these here, and remember, these are digital items, and some of these items are literally 10, 12, 13 years old, like, on the market. And so, like, these are digital items that people are literally paying hundreds, if not thousands of dollars for some of these. And there's all kinds of different hats and outfits and weapons and guns and all that kind of stuff and different effects. So any of you guys that have played like Counter-Strike or like CSGO or anything like that, or and some people, not everyone's played TF2, but I feel like some people at least have heard of it. And so, like, looking at some of these hats, it's like, it's crazy expensive. So it's like the concept of like digital trading and assets, like, people have been spending tons of money on this for like over a decade already. More recently, people talk about CSGO or Fortnite skins and this and that. I remember actually I saw a meme talking about people are like, hey, do you buy NFTs? And the guy on the right is like, oh no, like, that's a scam. And then the guy on the bottom left is like, hey, did you see this new Fortnite skin? He's like, oh my god, this is amazing. It's like $20, right? So it's like, all right, this digital asset you're buying on Fortnite, which is cool, you own it, but you technically don't own it because the company does, and they can change, they can do stuff to it. Or if they make Fortnite 2, will that skin carry over? Do you have ownership of it? Can you sell it to someone else? Like, no, because as long as it's in the store, someone else can just buy it. So so this kind of, and that's the other thing too, is that if you actually look at, so if we look at literally this hat right here, Festive Lights, a hat to kill for, you can look at the stats, you can look at the effect, you can look at the history, how many people have owned it. So it looks like this person is the original person that might have unboxed it, because that was a big thing about some of these hats and effects and these digital items, right? Was like the fact that having a short history actually gave it value. Like, if you were the original owner, that in a way gave it more value than if like 20 other people owned it, right?
Yep, definitely. And that's something I think will translate over to NFTs in general, because it's all in the metadata. So it's there. You can see it clear as day, when it was minted, who has it, who transferred it, when it was transferred. So it's one of those things where it's not, the similarity will probably be the same in the fact that for most items, cheap items, your regular items, no one's going to care if 200 people previously owned it or one person previously owned it. But for the things that are rare and are expensive, people want to pay top dollar. Would you rather have, a partner statue that's had one owner, someone unboxed it or got it on the drop, and that's it. It's never touched the light of day, and you're the first person to own that. And it's
Hmm.
or you can pay the same amount and get one that has had 60 different owners and has been bought and sold and bought and sold. Now, technically, they're the same thing, but human psychology tells you that one that's been flipped a bunch of times is like not as wanted, a little bit dirty, and people are scared to touch it for some reason. So
Yeah.
eventually, when it's easy to see the metadata and who owned it and how long they owned it and all that stuff like that, you can actually charge a little bit of a premium for that stuff. Again, it's probably only going to be for the top 5 or 10% of items that people care about that. But I mean, it's the same thing as mint numbers. That's why people pay multiples for low mint numbers. They're going to also probably pay a multiple for something that's extremely clean versus something that's been traded and flipped around 1,000 times.
Yeah, because I was looking at one of these hats. Okay, maybe not that one, but one of these hats you can actually see that. I mean, you can see the history in all of these. Either these are all original, and that's the other thing too. Like this wasn't this whole like tracking system that they had, because like this says technically that there was 4 owners. So this person unboxed it in 2023, and then they moved it around a few times and all that stuff. So it's gone through a few different people's hands, but this wasn't always like consistent. But that's where kind of the metadata comes in, and like blockchain technology, where it's like it is a consistent way to track everything and movement of assets and all that stuff. So
Yeah, and people always do whatever they can to add value to their items. So it's mint number. Eventually, there's history. They're going to say mine has a better history. It's like, again, most people aren't going to care. Most people aren't going to pay more. But if it's like the top tier item, and you're looking at whales or huge collectors, they're going to take that into consideration. Now, you can't like 10x the price because you're the person who got on the drop, but you might win out on a battle against someone else who has the same item for the same price, who bought off the market from the 15th guy or whatever. But yeah, on there's certain items that are kind of like staples, like keys and metal and golden pan, and these are kind of items that people use to pay for other things. But there's other things that are kind of like blue chips, I guess, similar to veve or other NFT products are considered blue chips because the price is very stable, they're popular. Everyone kind of wants to have at least one of them, and you can kind of put them there as kind of a safe investment. But yeah, similar to that, I mean, this is like you're decking out your character with weapons and skins and hats and stuff. And Counter-Strike Go, the similar thing, you're decking out your knife or your weapon, and sometimes the prices are just like astronomical. An AK-47 skin is like 20 grand, and to most people they're just like, why? I think this one looks cooler, and it's 25 cents. But to people who know how rare it is in the trading scene and the market, like they're gonna pay that someone might pay 20 grand for that item because they know what they're looking for.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Just like if the veve website was set up like this, there's like a classifieds page for each thing. You could put a little message in it. It's like, hey, I want this much in pure, or you can sell me pure, meaning like keys, which is like the equivalent of gems on veve. And eventually, the kind of like a little economy evolved on TF2, where I remember like refined is a mechanic involving like weapons and stuff you get for free, but keys was something that had a locked-in value, which was $2.50. So a lot of stuff revolved around keys. But then is it Steam? Yeah. So then eventually they dropped these earbuds, which was only for people that had like Mac software, right? Like for like MacBooks or something like that. Because for a long time it was only for PC. Then they released TF2 for Mac in like 2011 or 12 or something like that. And so there was only a certain amount of these like earbuds. So I guess the equivalent of this, it was like sometimes people like, hey, I don't have 200 keys to pay for your hat, but I have 100 keys plus a hat plus buds, and like sometimes the buds would equal X amount of keys. So it's almost like the equivalent of like, hey, I can't buy this thing off of you that costs 2,000 gems, but hey, I have 500 gems, a Todd, and a this, right? Like eventually there could be a point where Todd is just so sought after and it's so just stable at X value or whatever, that people might use that as like its own form of currency, or they might refer it as like literally a certain specific like gem amount. Maybe it's not Todd, it could be something else, because I do think Todd is kind of its own like category, because it's so unique. It has so many FAs like about it. Like there could be something else that's just like, wow, this thing has been super stable for like a few years. Like this could be like people just reference this thing as just equaling 10 gems or 15 gems, assuming eventually veve gets like a trading mechanic, right? hopefully
Yeah,
at some
I would
point.
say it's a little different because this is all trading. We have zero trading, and we might never get trading. But
Yeah.
the strategies are similar, the ideas are similar. Eventually, when we get tickets and MCP points, I mean, there's going to be some things maybe you
Mhm.
can trade or gift to people, or but there's going to be items that are very stable, like you said, whether it's a VV logo or Todd or R2D2 or whatever that you can compare. Like, okay, I'm going to spend $400. I could either get this and this, or I can get this other thing. So you're kind of comparing, the best things that are more stable.
Mhm.
Like right now, a lot of people compare things to AF15 because if it's $350, you could either get this, rare decon thing, or you could stack a couple cheaper comics, or you can just get another AF15 comic, which is like almost as good as it gets right now, right? So it's like those are
Yeah.
the things people kind of have to battle with when they're going to spend money, but it's still so early for me personally. I don't care about history of items, how long it is. I don't care about mint numbers too much. If I get a better mint number, that's good because I can flip it. We're kind of seeing the whole situation now with low mints and stuff and OTC thing, but the strategy is going to change probably in the future. I think it's just good to be ready for whatever. But eventually, when if this thing does take off and you can see all the metadata and it's super clear, and it's easy to see, and people can really differentiate their items, people are going to pick apart stuff of every little thing, the mint number, and has it been owned by anybody famous, or did this come from VV, or this come from the market themselves? So all the little stuff is cool, and I do eventually that'll probably be part of it, but probably not for quite a while.
Yeah, because I just pulled up here some CSGO stuff, and so I don't know why this is offset to like the left. I wish I could like line it up more in the middle. But you guys that aren't familiar with Counter-Strike or CSGO gun skins and things like that, and like TF2's had their own versions, but like most expensive CSGO skins in 2023, AK-47 Fire Serpent is going for $1,000 to $5,000. I guess it just depends on because it's not just the skin, it's also like the quality of the skin. There's like different levels of quality, so it's like it's almost the exact same as like common, uncommon, rare, ultra rare, secret rare. So it's like, all right, you have this high level skin, okay, that's worth a lot. Then if you have the secret rare, it's like, ooh, that's worth a lot, right? That's where it starts pushing $5,000. Like this one, 1,200 to 7,000. Are you familiar with some of these guns, or have you ever actually traded CS:GO gun skins before?
Yep. Yeah, I used to do a little bit of unboxing, which is kind of like their version of playing a VV drop, but you can
Mhm.
play the drop whenever you want to get certain items. So it's kind of like if VV had certain drops, they're just there all the time, and you could take your chances. But yep, it's been a while since I've done CS:GO specifically, but a couple cheap knives, a lot of random skins, AKs and AWPs are popular, but um, yeah, they have. I mean, these are technically digital assets. They could be NFTs, but they're not. So but they're run by human beings, right? But people are buying and selling and unboxing and trading. These are humans, and so it creates its own little ecosystem and trading market, which is very similar to VV. There's a lot of overlap that I see from these digital video games and their marketplaces of digital items that I see on VV. So I'm trying to plan ahead for that. Make my moves. I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket, of course, but I'm trying to think the strategies and the tricks that I've learned from here that have done me well, how to apply that to VV in the future, because it's different, but there's a lot of overlap when it comes to human psychology and rarity and all these little things.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, you look at some of these items, and some of these are literally trading for high four figures, five figures, sometimes even six figures. According to this, where sometimes people are buying these for um, absurd amounts. And like you said, these aren't even NFTs. Like you technically don't even own these. Like it's Valve that technically owns these items, and they're just kind of like giving you permission to use it on your account. And at any point, if they really wanted to, they could just yoink the rights to it, or make it not work anymore, or they come out with Counter-Strike, CS:GO 2, and now you can't bridge it over to the new game. Like they could easily do that if they wanted to. Um, so
Yeah, and I think for anything owned by Steam and their terms of service, which is kind of a rabbit hole. I don't know if we want to get into Web3 gaming and what you own, interoperability, but technically you don't own any of them. You're right. If you cheat or break their terms of service, or you do something illegal or shady, they can just lock up your account and your stuff is just locked forever. Which is,
mhm.
stories I've heard of. Some similar, very rare, but some similar things have happened on VV and other projects where they think you're breaking the terms of service or doing something illegal, even though if you own it, they can lock up your stuff, or they can do something else with it. So that is kind of a big debate right now with video games and Web3 games is, do they need to be NFTs, and should they be? Or when do you kind of make that decision? Because there's a lot of games really pushing the ownership and, play what you enjoy, and you can own your items and sell your items or whatever, or take them off. But there's a lot of games like we saw with Fortnite, which are saying, we don't see a reason to include NFTs, so we're not going to. So it's still very early. No one has the right answers. I do think NFT games will continue to grow slowly, but the big guys have not really pulled the trigger yet on it.
Yeah, which makes sense. I mean, there's obviously a ton of money in Fortnite and all these different games, but Mr. Joey Puna Collectibles says, OCD Guy analysis here. Clean is OCD Guy talk. I would say yes, but at the same time, that's actually how people referenced Team Fortress hats, like digital hats. So if something had a clean history, that means that typically it means like there's no scammers on the history of the item, or that if you did get scammed and, like, let's say someone hacked your account, they stole your item and they sold it to someone else or whatever. This kind of goes back to the blockchain and kind of like actually owning it. Like if that happened now, like if you lost your NFT on other platforms, like you're just screwed. Like you lost it forever. There's nothing you can do. But on Steam, if you like lost your thing, they would give you like a duplicate version. So it looked identically the same. Everything's the same, except the history would be a bit different. And you could kind of tell like if something got duped. And so that would be called dirty, meaning like, oh, there's another copy of this that exists somewhere else. So like imagine if veve or another platform was like, oh, did you lose your NFT? Like, all right, we'll just make a copy, now adding one more into circulation. And that's kind of why the part kind of dirty comes into play, where it's like, all right, you're kind of screwing up the circulation because you got hacked and the company had to like replace it. And that's kind of what makes it dirty. But a clean history means like either you're the original owner, or there's no scammers on the history, or there wasn't kind of any weird duping going on. So like, as a collector, Joey Puna, that when it comes to collectors, like they'll find any reason for their collectible or their item or their thing to stand out. Hey, mine's more valuable because of this reason. It has a signature, or whoever used it for this case, or I brought it to this thing. Like, people are always going to find ways to make their things have more value. So
yeah, and I'll say that people are already, I mean, I've been in space with people that are already doing this. They're saying, I want to mint one and then never trade it, like ever. I want to be the first person and the only person on the history. So, short history, clean. I mean, I don't know how much clean is going to come into it, but the shorter history is definitely something that people care about. Because I know some people now that are specifically holding stuff or minting stuff because they want to have their name on there, or they're trading it previously to friends or other public figures, right? Because they want to have the name of someone on the history. But yeah, it's kind of cool. And I think right now there's a lot of things going on veve. Things are changing all the time, so we have no idea that's kind of the frustration. People don't know what the strategy is, and things could change at any time, which is just part of being a smaller company and a new company, especially in this space, because people are trying to make plays and position themselves, and they don't know exactly what to do because things could change, and anytime there could be a new grail, or they change the rules, or they change the mints, or whatever. So I think it's good to have a plan, but also be flexible. So like I said, I have my strategies I've learned from other marketplaces and collecting digital items, but I'm being adaptable as possible. I'm not, set in my ways by any means, and I'll roll with the changes as well, because I want to be successful. And I do believe in veve and omi long term, even though omi's taking a pretty big dump right now. But yeah, it's just an exciting space, and that people forget, like, it's a very, very, very speculative space in a bad bear market. So keep that in mind. Not expecting big returns or crazy profit anytime soon. This is a long play, as some people have said. I think it was Jeremy, Uncle Jeremy Padware said that, this is a marathon, not a race. So don't expect things to, be all golden right away. You got to be patient. If you really believe in it, put your money here. If you don't, just kind of check out and watch.
Yep. Bob Sales says Helix looks like it's a good Helix looks like it'll be a good project. Looks like GTA on steroids. Do you know what he means by Helix, or is that another like Web3?
It's probably another like metaverse thing. I've heard of Helix, but I never looked into it. So I'm guessing it's kind of like a metaverse thing. Which there's a bunch of metaverses, like a lot, and they keep popping up. If you just Google like top 50 metaverses, you'll see a bunch of stuff you've never heard of. But the more common ones are like Sandbox, Spatial. I think Virtua is on there now. Other Side is becoming more popular, but there's a ton of them. And I mean, some of them are more interesting than others, and then that brings in the vveverse and land sales and omi and
Yeah.
all that exciting stuff. But yeah, metaverse. But it's still so early. Like none of the metaverses are ever like heavily populated ever, unless there's like a special event, like a Snoop Dogg event or a big party. Like people will jump in. But if you just jump into even the most popular metaverses, like the #1 trending ones, like there's not very many people in there, and they're kind of just goofing around. So there's a long way to go. But although the tech is getting really really cool, some of the stuff you can do on spatial now, and porting over your assets and your models, actually it's getting really really cool. But it's still super early. But I kind of agree that some of the metaverses are going to be kind of like more cartoony. So like Sandbox is like blocks, right? It's like Roblox. So it's kind of more like kids gamey in my opinion. Then you have something like Spatial, which is kind of more realistic, or you have something like Decentraland, which is kind of more futuristic, or you have something maybe like Helix, which is more like hyper realistic, like Unreal 5 kind of looking stuff.
I think I don't know if there's supposed to be pictures here or not, but yeah, it's kind of crazy because I feel like sometimes a lot of these like metaverse things, they seem more like just like tech demos, if anything. Like it's hard to say. Like sometimes you look at it and you're like, all right, what am I supposed to do in this? Like you can run around, like people can make certain servers or maps or like climbing levels. I know that's something I used to do a lot when I used to play like Halo back in the day, or like Counter-Strike. Like people would make these levels and you could do stuff in them, right? Outside of just like shooting each other. But there's a certain point where it's like, all right, should I play this like open map, like sandbox, like Web3 thing where stuff either like costs money or it's like rarely populated or this or that? Or should I just play a game like GTA 5 that is designed with, hundreds of developers, tons of money backed into it? It's designed with the idea of like, it's supposed to be a sandbox. You can do way more things on it and I don't have to deal with NFTs, right? Which is why I definitely think Web3 and like NFTs and crypto games and play to earn, all that stuff will have a place, but I think at the start it's just going to be very weird. And I think even you were asking kind of like why have it? It's like, would you rather have a subpar experience for a certain type of game, or would you rather just play the game that's designed with all this stuff in mind, with developers that have been doing it for decades, right?
Yeah, and I think a good point is that it is early, no know what to expect, but I do think there will be a point where whether it's a big company or maybe it's Bored Apes with their other side stuff, is that it just kind of clicks and everyone's like, this is cool. I mean, it's really hard to make a good game. It's really, really hard to make a popular game, and then to throw in the whole NFT thing and ownership and blockchain. Like you said, a lot of people are like, just why? I'd rather just go with a regular game studio, no limitations on land or items, so like just play the game. But if they can do it right and they can make it cool, I mean, there's already a ton of mobile games that could easily technically be NFTs. You're doing microtransactions and mini worlds and jumping around, but yeah, it's still really early. That's the thing. I'm watching all of them closely, but there's none that are jumping out at me as like, put your money here, get in early. Like they're all so early. I think it's better just to look at the landscape, so that way when the vveverse does come out, you can really make a decision on how cool is this and what can you do, and can you make games or special areas or some kind of cool experiences, because all these projects, every single NFT project and every single metaverse is like dying, and they want community so bad, because that's the only way it'll matter, right? You can have an amazing metaverse, but if no one's in it, it doesn't matter, right? You can have an amazing project, but if no one's buying your PFP or your art, it doesn't matter. So I think that's one of VV's strengths, is that they have a huge, very passionate community. So they're off to a good start. If they deliver something, even just cool showrooms or some basic metaverse stuff, then they're going to have a really big advantage over some of these other projects that are kind of popping up that look cool, but don't really have a lot to offer, or like have a solid roadmap yet. A lot of them are just, like you said, they're really cool tech demos, and anything can happen, but we don't know what to expect.
Yeah, because I feel like with a lot of these, with some of these Web3 games or kind of like NFTs, it's just hard to just see this stuff playing out. And like you said, like so many of these like metaverse things are going to die. It's like, is there going to be a point in time where there's legitimately going to be 117 different metaverses, and people are going to join all these different games and have all these different collectibles and all these, like, eventually people are going to all congregate to like the most popular metaverse, right? And that's where I thought vve's ticket was going to be. I'm like, wow, is veve really going to try and go toe to toe with all these other platforms when it comes to creating a metaverse, right? The veve-verse. Or, and I thought this was Vivi's ticket, was like, just let all the metaverse companies fight it out over the next, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years, however long it's going to take. And then Vive's just going to be waiting there at the finish line saying, hey, I noticed that you're the best metaverse platform and you have like, millions of users. We have this, we have a bunch of NFTs that are officially licensed. Do you want us to bring those over there? Or like, hey, do you want to negotiate how we can bring that to your platform where people are paying money? We can discuss royalties and blah, blah later. But I thought that's what Vive's plan was going to be. Like, at the end of the day, like, hey, we have all these licensed NFTs. We're just waiting for a platform to kind of like bring it to. And whoever's doing the best, like, we could just propose that we just put it on there rather than have their own thing. But I will say, because they're doing like a veve-verse, it's like a more enclosed system. They have more control over it and what they do. But I don't know, like, what do you think about that? Do you think that Veve was actually going to do like a veve-verse, or do you think they're actually going to follow through, or do you think like it's going to do well, it's going to be like a glorified showroom and it's going to kind of fall apart and they're eventually just going to partner up with like another metaverse in the future?
Well, we'll get some more information very soon, because tomorrow on the AMA, the veve-verse is one of the talking points with the Mitch. So I don't know if they're going to say, hey, we're going to have updated showroom beta. That's like veve-verse early demo, coming out soon. And you can, whatever, comics and showroom, or maybe they're just like cooler looking, stuff in your showroom. That's like their version of early beta veve-verse. But I thought, I feel like they could be the Walmart or Amazon or whatever of NFTs, and they kind of like have the best of the best licenses, the first appearances, all that cool stuff, and you can bring that to whatever metaverse you want. I think that is still going to be like probably their bread and butter. But as a business, it makes so much sense to have your own metaverse, because now you make an ungodly amount of money 24/7 at all times. Like, if you have a metaverse, there's going to be so much activity and transactions, and that's part of the OUPs, that things that you buy will get burned, and you can use OMI to buy things that you can't buy with with gems possibly, and you can really use the utility. But I'm still kind of hesitant to see something as small as veve, and they can only outsource so much. How it's going to look. So I'm hoping they take their time with that and they don't make that like their biggest priority and shoot their load early. And if it doesn't go well, if the veve-verse does not look epic, people are going to start jumping ship and getting disappointed really quickly, unless they're saying this is our veve-verse, but like you said, you can take this to any other kind of verse that is compatible. And I think that they'd be smart to do that. And we already know that you can bring in other projects into veve. We saw Bored Apes and Fishes and stuff in the veve-verse demo, which actually looked pretty good. It looked like high resolution Unreal or Unity, which is cool. But whatever company is able to merge all these metaverses together and kind of be that connecting tissue to transfer and travel between them, they're going to make a lot of money, because you're right, anyone and everyone is going to want their own metaverse. So I'm curious to see how it plays out. But I hope veve, either they nail it and they get some huge partner, whether it's Disney or whatever, to kind of help them like make something amazing, or their IP can go anywhere, and that way you can play in your favorite metaverse with veve stuff. But no one knows for sure. I think that kind of also maybe brings us into hitting deadlines and whatever. But for me, I'm okay with them taking a long time to deliver a really good metaverse. I do not want them to rush that whatsoever. I want them to nail the important stuff. I want exchanges, I want MCP, I want OUP, like I want that stuff. Give us, some gamification in the app, all that other fun stuff, and like the big grand finale can wait. I'm okay to wait on veve-verse.
Yep. Let's see here. Well, I wanted to bring up, I kind of mentioned it at the very beginning. I think I even mentioned it on the the tweet about us talking. So what are your thoughts on the whole over-the-counter situation? What's also your thoughts on I'm trying to remember the other thing, they like paused payout or like halted payouts. So what are your thoughts on that? I know we kind of want to keep this stream like a bit more positive, but I think obviously this stuff just happened like less than 24 hours ago, so I think people want to know.
I would say the big things, like more recent things aside from like Hulk and the potions, is the OTC thing, which is like everyone's talking about it 24/7. The actual tweet from Danny Boy, the guy who was part of the deal, has like 70 or 80,000 impressions. So people are very interested in it. It's all over Twitter Spaces 24/7, and everyone's live streams talking about it. So we can talk about that a little bit, and then also, it sounds like Wire is going to be stopping pretty soon, and then I forget the other thing. There's something else that came out more recently that was kind of throwing a wrench into things. But the OTC thing, we just don't have any details. We just know that some things are traded from Danny. We saw some things were traded from veve to Danny. So we saw some things that are traded from Danny to veve, like some of these posters.
Mhm.
But
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. What's Danny's Twitter handle? Just so I can like pull it up.
I believe it's Danny. I can find it for you real quick. It's like Danny Boy LLIAC or something. But his actual tag is, I think he's a movie director. So his tag is something. It's like the movie something. I can find it for you. Actually, I think I posted it in the channel. Yeah, I'll post it here. If you're looking for his Twitter handle, it's JDS the movie. Is his Twitter handle, but yeah. So his post has 64,000. He just posted was it like yesterday or something, 2 days ago. But basically, veve family is good about digging through metadata and what's going on and how many mints and who's transferring what and all that stuff and looking up whale wallets. But they noticed that I believe Danny has the number 2 wallet on veve, and or one of the top wallets. I don't remember what it is actually. And they saw some items transferring back and forth from veve to Danny and Danny back and forth. So people thought this is like, he's buying things off market and he's got a secret deal with, David Yu or something, and how come we don't have a chance to get at this? And most of the mints I don't believe were below 41, but I think there was like 2 or 3 that were sub 41, I believe. I think one of them was a 2-digit secret rare AF15. So anyways, people were worried that, hey, there's all these special mint collectors and low mint collectors, and what's going on? We didn't have a chance at this, and they just want some more transparency to see the details. But in my opinion, it's like, we don't have enough details. Don't freak out. Let's just hear what they say. If there was a change or there's a special occasion for whatever reason, whether it's a settlement or a legal thing, or there's a service traded, or it's a business thing like a KYB, because it sounds like Danny has like a conglomerate or like a business. It's not just him. So whatever it is, I think people just want some answers. But as of right now, no one knows what to think, and they're just kind of assuming the negative. But it's definitely hot news right now.
Yeah, because I'm reading it here. So was all the drama around this single tweet where he says, just approach veve directly? Was that pretty much the entire tweet?
Yep. So someone had saw that there was a transfer back and forth of some items, some really good items, and then they knew there was Danny's wallet. So then they're kind of like, hey, what the hell's going on? And Danny just tweeted that later. And that's when people were like, hey, what the heck? So we haven't heard from veve. David Yu is aware of it. There are pictures of him chatting directly with people in the community saying, it was an OTC deal. Or from the rumor is David has confirmed it's an OTC deal and don't worry about it, and we'll address it or whatever. So we're just waiting for more information. No one really knows the details. It could be bullish in the fact that maybe it's a business deal or some kind of services, that's going to help veve in some way, or some people are saying that this is negative because someone's getting special treatment or they're getting a bailout, or but no one knows. We have not enough information to think negatively of it just yet.
Yeah. So yeah, because I mean, to be honest, in my opinion, like, veve can do whatever they want. I mean, whether they withhold it or they sell it to someone else, like, is it unfortunate that at one point they did say, okay, sub 41s are never going to see the light of day, and we're going to lock them all up and people are never going to see them, and they're not going to be public, but some people are able to buy them. Like, I mean, this is all part of the deal. I don't know what else to say. I mean, I've gotten screwed over too. Obviously not to this extent. I'm not a low mint hunter that's paying thousands of dollars for low mints and all that stuff. But I mean, that's kind of what happened to me with the whole like FE change. Like, I remember when the FE changed, like the article came out, and when the article came out, it didn't have any of the golden moments. And I was like, cool. And I even did a video literally about the article saying like, hey, these are the NFTs that got affected. Doesn't look like any golden moments are on the list. So I might even buy a Mickey Sorcerer's hat. And then sure enough, I went to buy a hat. I went out to go run some errands, and I posted it on, I think it was on the Discord. Like, I used to be very active in the veve Discord back in the day. They posted in the Discord, and someone was like, hey, like, why'd you buy a Mickey Sorcerer's hat? I'm like, oh, it's because it's not on the list. They're like, no, it is on the list. I'm like, wait, what? And I clicked on the article again, and like, they actually like updated it and didn't tell anyone. and then all of a sudden, all the like the golden moments, like
Yep.
the pizza car, the hat, the logos were all on the list all of a sudden. So immediately my hat went down. Like I remember buying it for, I mean, like I don't know, $4,500 or 4,500 gems. And then after I bought it, then like after they updated it, like within an hour, and it went all the way down to like 3,800. So like immediately lost like 600 gems, 700 gems. I'm like, what? And then from there it just kept going down, right? So at that point there was just like nothing I could do, and it's like, wow, okay, so veve made an update, didn't tell me or tell anyone, so they made a mistake, fixed it, still didn't tell anyone, and I ended up losing a ton of gems because of it. But you know, at the end of the day, that's just part of being in a speculative market, new company, new everything. You know, they don't have a ton of workers. They don't have someone that's like auditing everything and double checking all this stuff, making sure everything's 100% correct. Like, you know, and things change. Like, you know.
Yeah, I remember that was pretty brutal, and I think that's another good story of like everyone's asking for like, we need good communications. This is money. This is, I mean, it's different if for a lot of people that I think were over leveraged early because they thought we had 2 million users and there's like 20,000 new active, you know, signups a day or a week or whatever it was, and everyone just like jump in as fast as you can because literally the items were like going up 20-30% like every single day, just back to back to back. Like things were doubling overnight. It was just unreal. But yeah, something like that, like you think you do the right thing, you researched it, you read it thoroughly, and it's like, great, I'm safe, and then you find out, wait a second, I'm not safe. So that's another example of, you know, like you said, it's a small company in a new space. That is one, you know, criticism I think pretty much everyone has with the veve team is like, we know you guys are stealing amazing IPs and you're doing good work and all this stuff, but we need some communication because, you know, also part of it's social media and everyone's seeing everything 24/7. Instantly, you can look up something and get mad or happy, but communication like that does affect people's pocketbooks. So I would agree that something around communication or getting someone more familiar with, you know, PR and Web3, because like their optics, just there's a lot of things they do that even if they're not intentionally bad, the way they went about it kind of bites them in the butt later, and the optics don't look good, and people kind of jump to the worst conclusions. But yeah, that would be one of my things is to, you know, get ahead of these issues and let people know in detail, like have someone or a group or whatever, like really focus on, you know, keeping a good image because everyone knows you're doing great work. But when you shoot yourself in the foot over and over and over, it could have been either avoided or at least, you know, cleared up earlier. I mean, that helps out a lot to get just community, you know, just more, I don't know the term, but they feel better about their investment in the future and they're not, you know, freaking out about every little thing.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of reading what Bob Sale's saying here. He was talking about that they noticed that the night some sales from the wallet, so one from veve, 9 to Danny's for high numbers, one being an AF15 Mint 59 secret rare and a Marvel Comics secret rare 100. Turned out the two wallets was transferring all night. The weird bit was he sent some Givenchy cards back to veve, or like Givenchy cards.
Yeah, I think like 60 or 80 or like some high amount. So there's also some information going around that project was kind of like a rug where I forgot the person's name who said the project was going to go to a charity. The charity never got the money. So I don't know. Some people are saying this is a deal to kind of like get the money back from the charity, or this could have been some kind of swap. But the thing is, you can't send stuff to veve. Veve can send stuff to you, like an airdrop or a but you can't send anything to them unless there's some kind of special thing going on. So there's no way that Danny could have sent something to veve unless they were talking and has some kind of. I'm assuming this is kind of like a special situation. We don't know the details yet, but I don't think this is like open the floodgates. Everyone who's a whale can come negotiate with Dan and David about, you know, special mint numbers. I feel like this was some kind of deal or some kind of settlement or closure to something else to kind of make it go away.
Yeah, and Bob Sales is kind of elaborating, and I appreciate you, dude, being active in here. People think it's linked to the Givenchy cards, changing the license. Yeah, we kind of talked about how like the money didn't go to the charity. He also said that one of the things noticed was a secret rare with a floor of like 1.3k per days was sold to Danny for less than the floor being 1,000, and his was mint 100. So like a secret rare comic, I guess. The last bit spec not proven yet about the charity thing. Yeah. So I mean that's the thing. It's a lot of No, but it's kind of funny. Like as you talk about it, there's more layers. They're like, oh, it's we don't know all the information, but then it's like, okay, now there's like there's movement going around. There's low mints happening. There's the Givenchy cards happening, and then there's like a charity thing, and then all of a sudden now there's a lot of movement. So it would be nice if veve was more upfront and kind of transparent about these kinds of transactions, but. I mean, I would definitely be. I don't really care personally because I'm not in a position where I put thousands of dollars into like low mints, and I'm like, and I think at the end of the day, forever people are always gonna know number 41 is like the quote unquote the public mint for everything. But it does kind of throw a little salt in the wound that they are selling sub 40 mints for apparently different comics and collectibles and stuff like that, or at least things below public mint.
Yeah, and I think every time something bad happens for a company, they have the opportunity to make it better, right? So if something happens on your Grubhub account or Amazon account, they'll send you a thing like, hey, here's a coupon, we messed up. Or if your flight gets canceled without your notice, they'll say, hey, here's $200. Like the companies usually do something to address it or fix it. So I'm curious what veve's going to do, because even if they feel like this is not a big deal, this is what we did, then knowing that the community's upset, they have to make some kind of public announcement and say, either here's what's happened, or we can't give you the details on what happened, but going forward, we're gonna, burn these extra mints, or we're gonna give everybody like their money back on who bought these or something. Like they got to figure something out to kind of get people happy and to move on. But we don't have enough information. You can make up 50 different things and piece it together. But part of the thing that does not help is sometimes David has given answers that don't seem 100% true, and maybe they are, talking about he forgot to sign, with FTX because he's on a plane, like he forgot to sign a document. It's like that's a major oversight. You don't accidentally forget something that important, and it just goes without. Or like Spider-Man, I know a lot of people still really don't fully believe about Spider-Man, what happened with all those extra ones. So I think that's part of it too. They don't even know when they get an answer if it's true or not. They just want to see results. So I don't know what they're going to say, but hopefully they make a decision to patch things up, make things feel better about it moving forward, and then just everyone can kind of move on. Because it's when you dig through metadata, you can find stuff and you start scratching your head like, what was this and what happened and why did they? What is this? Is this an alt account? Or like, it's easy to start digging down the rabbit hole and it's freaking out.
Yeah. So cool. So I'm planning on wrapping things up here in like the next 15, maybe like 20 minutes or so. Was there anything else you kind of wanted to talk about in the meantime? I mean, I feel like we've kind of touched upon talked about the potions. We talked about kind of obviously your history of like TF2 trading and how that's like relevant to veve and like digital assets and NFTs and all that. Talked a little bit about the drama going on currently, with like the over the counter as well as some other things. So was there anything else you kind of wanted to touch upon?
I think just kind of, I think it's important for everyone to have their own strategy, enjoy the good stuff, and don't stress out about things that are out of your control or you don't know all the information yet. So I'm not sweating about the OTC thing or the cash out, or even the fact that Disney, has laid off a bunch of people that are making their metaverse, and a lot of companies are laying off people, like a lot, especially tech companies. But it's just kind of part, we say we're early, we are really, really early. So if you can't, handle the fire and the bumps and bruises, maybe take a break and come back later when you feel more comfortable about it. Or you can just kind of, stick your head down and tough through it and either, dollar cost average or, just kind of be more patient with your money. But, I do feel confident about the technology, the IP, the team. There's a lot of good things going on. Even short term, we got potions, we got Hulk, we got all kinds of stuff going on. So I don't think it's fair to focus on the negative all the time. And you saw this one tweet and now everyone's freaking out. And this person said this, and then this trade, and this person left the community, and veve said this, but now it's that. It's like, okay, but does that affect the bigger picture long term? In 5 or 10 years, is any of this going to matter, or are we still on track for something really special here? So a lot of times for me that helps. But yeah, I think enjoy things. If we didn't really get to talk about OMI, but OMI's down right now. If that's something you believe in, I think a lot of people are going to say it's going to go to 0004 as like rock bottom. But the fact that a lot of people are saying that means it might not happen, or if it does, it'll bounce back pretty quickly. Nobody knows, but in my mind, some of the stuff is getting so cheap, it gets less and less risky because the price gets cheaper. You have less to lose, right? So when people are spending, 40 grand on a partners or 8 grand on a Todd. Like, that's risky, right? Because at the time you don't notice it, but buying that now at 90% off technically is a
Hmm.
lot less risky. So I think it's important for people to, not like put your money where your mouth is, but like, have some perspective on the environment, the world. Everything's down, bear market, negative. Other projects are falling through the floors or just dying completely. No one is just like off to the races and nothing but good news. So overall, when I compare VV and just our little ecosystem to other projects, we are doing really well. All these little bumps in the road, like I said, do not affect the bigger picture, the bigger goal, the things that we really want to see, and they don't affect it at all, like at all. If it did, I would say something or I would jump ship, but all this little day-to-day stuff, like to me, doesn't affect it. Now, no, we can't ask VV, we can't ask them to, be more transparent or provide more information or improve their communication, and that's good. We should give that feedback. But also, dragging them through the mud over every single thing and just never getting over it, and always bringing it up. It's like, if you can't control it, learn from it. Ask for change to improve for everybody, and then just move on. But I think for the most part, even the people who are quote unquote fudders or negative or just kind of start drama for attention, they like Vivi. That's why they stick around. They want Vivi to do well, and maybe they sold, maybe they held, and maybe they're down, who knows, but like, they stick around because they know how important, how special this is. So any news is good news for us, even if it's craziness and drama and people are fighting. Like, hey, they're still part of our family, and they're giving us more attention. So even though like the Sesame Street thing, everyone thinks it's this big disaster and all the negative press, it's like, no, that's part of it, but bigger picture, this is good. We secured Sesame Street, and they did a drop with us, and they're going to do more, and this is great for the ecosystem and the space and the future. Like, that is my takeaway. Not that some people are pissed off about it from their little, or from their following on Twitter. To me, that was like, okay,
Hmm.
whatever. You don't understand this, who cares? But anyways, kind of a long summary, but I'm positive short term and long term, and I don't let the day-to-day stuff really get to me.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people just feel like they want to have some sort of control over what's happening, right? Because a lot of stuff is like, all right, you're in a closed ecosystem, all this stuff. Like, you can't. It's not like OpenSea, right, where you can kind of just like cash out, sell stuff, whatever. With Vivi, everything is pretty much close-ended, and I feel like anytime Vivi slips up, there's always people immediately able to jump on and complain. And sometimes I'm right there with you. Sometimes I'm right there with them where I'm like, yeah, this is messed up, or we need an explanation or something. But most of the time, I feel like it's just people trying to take back at least some control over what they invested in, or like, hey, you need to deliver on OUP, you need to deliver on this. Hey, you said this, but you haven't done it, blah, blah. Like, I'm more worried that VV just straight up said, hey, we're just OUP, we're just not doing it. VVverse, we just canned the whole thing. Like, that's where I'd be concerned. I'm like, okay, this is bad, because now they're just completely canceling projects, not, hey, we're improving this, or we're trying to fine tune that and this and that. And I do think VV is a bit over their head when it comes to developers. Like, I think a lot of projects they thought was going to take, a few weeks or months or like half a year, and they're like, oh god, we're a month away and we're not even 10% done with this whole project. So yeah, we're gonna need more time.
Yeah, or they get to the finish line of like, oh, this legal thing changed, or this tech change, or this regulation. Like, there's so many things I think in the background, and I think that's where some of the frustration comes from people on Twitter or whatever. Is like, either they're newer investors and they're just kind of not used to seeing, and they want things like immediately, like answers immediately, talk to the team immediately. It's like, that's not normal. Like, a lot of companies, like, you just get like the quarterly earnings and like maybe a questions here. Like, that's it. Like, you just either buy the product or the stock, or you don't. That's all you get. So VV technically, is a lot more engaged with us than most companies. But I think it's just perspective. For some reason, I feel like a lot of people in crypto or NFTs like have not invested very long. They don't have anything to compare it to. They don't understand that a lot of companies, even the biggest companies in the world, I talk about Tesla. They've been delaying their Cybertruck like how many times now, and like people aren't freaking out like Tesla's a rug. It's like, that's just part of the deal. It's a new technology. It's a big undertaking. It's going to change the world probably, but just be patient. Like, it's going to happen. We're not, it's not bad news that it's been delayed. It's annoying, but it's not the end of the world. And same with, Apple fired Steve Jobs. Apple almost went bankrupt. So like, if you can handle that and go through that, look where they are now. I mean, some of the stuff we're freaking out about is like, it's not a big deal. Yes, more transparency, more communication. They should hire higher quality, or they should hire more devs and high quality people and improve their tech. All that stuff is true, but again, it doesn't really change the bigger picture. And like I said, I feel like sometimes it's people are emotional. They see too much stuff on Twitter, and they don't understand about long-term investing. And so I think when I look to some of the older whales or the wisdom of other people in the community, whether it's crypto or some of the other projects, it's like they're not freaking out at all. They're either chilling or they're buying. They're not freaking out. Like I've been through bear markets, I've been through stocks that have gone crazy, I've been through crypto. So like I am not freaking out at all. Like I see room for improvement, but I'm not freaking out. Because when you got something special, you're patient. And all the people who wish they bought Solana at, $4, if they wish they bought Bitcoin at $300, it's like, well, yeah, when you're in the hell of it and when you're in the bear market, you don't want to be there. Everything looks bad, but when you come out of it, it's like, oh yeah, I wish I this, I wish I that. So, it looks like maybe you're getting a raid here from some people.
Yeah,
NFT
it looks
pirates.
like appreciate it. So Fun of the Sun vibes are glad you're on, bud. Thanks, appreciate it. Michael Campa, dude. Where I have it around. I'll show it off. I think I might have said this. Dude, Michael Campa. So Michael Campa, let me just kind of blow myself up here so it's a bit easier to see. So Michael Campa sent me this AF-15 facsimile I won on his interview with NFT Pirates. Yeah, it was on NFT Pirates stream. They were doing like a little giveaway. And Michael Campa actually gave me this AF-15 comic, and dude, I'm stoked. I actually got the physical before I got the actual digital. So thanks again for that. It delivered very quickly. I actually got it on Sunday, and I didn't talk about it till Monday, I believe. I put out the tweet, so I really appreciate that. So, dude, I'm stoked, and I just started kind of like getting into comic collecting. So I got a few comics here, like I was kind of looking through.
And look, another person turned into a veve turned you into a physical collector, right?
Yeah, exactly. So Michael Campa, I appreciate it, dude. And then Crypt Khaki, what's up? The Todd Father here from NFT Pirates via Mike Campa, appreciate it. Angel, what's up? The future is happening. Preach, Miles, preach. Yeah, keep up the great work. Thanks for the $5. More Angel, let's go. Me too, here from NFT Pirates. What up, vibes? Yeah, what's up, everyone? We were talking. I mean, we've been streaming for about an hour and a half, and I'm down to go a little bit longer since you guys are here. I don't mind, but because we're talking about just like the bear market and all that stuff, and like it's just interesting how people the second veve slips up, and I'll be honest, veve does need to be more transparent with things that they're doing, but when they're getting on veve about OUP and this and that, and like why is this not updated, and where's comics and showrooms and this and that. I feel like, at least especially for OUP, I wasn't here at the very beginning of veve. I mean, I didn't start till November 2021, so I wasn't one of the original like OMI investors where I bought in at like 4 or 5 zeros or anything like that. But it seems like a lot of people want OUP to happen, or like have exchanges on OMI just so that it can pump, right? People are like, hey, I bought OMI a long time ago or recently, and it's down a lot. I want these things to happen because I want OMI to pump. I'm tired of holding this OMI and I can't do anything with it. All it's doing is going down. Can we get something going so that it can finally like go up in value, right? But that's what's happening in my mind. And I get that originally, I mean, OMI is the reason why veve exists, right? Like that's kind of like what funded the whole project and the whole thing from the beginning, right? So I don't know, it does seem like maybe that's just the sales side of me, kind of just like whenever someone is saying one thing, what do they actually mean when they're saying this? It's kind of like an objection or whatever. It's like people are like, hey, where's OUP? I want it. It's like, all right, do you want it because you actually want to spend your OMI? Odds are you're probably, unless you're like literally one of the original investors, like you're probably down a lot on your OMI and you weren't going to buy anything anyway. Are you just doing it so you can actually like leverage your OMI utility program, or are you just doing it because like you want OMI to pump and you want to feel better about your investment, or just sell it off as fast as you can? Which, nothing against that. Like I totally don't blame people that want to like sell their OMI the second that it's a penny in the profit, but that's kind of like my take on it. So I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Of people that are like dogging on OUP or MCP and why is this delayed and this and that? Like, do you think it's that important that veve has to deliver right then and there, or do you think they should be a bit more upfront about keeping their promises?
Yeah, I think again, it's them shooting themselves in the foot. I think some people have to be fair, especially if you've never run a business or you've been basically a trailblazer in this new industries. A lot of things they probably didn't mean to like lie or lead people on. It was like they thought they could do it and something came up, whether it's technical issues or staffing or resources, or they got distracted by Disney or
or
legal issues, or
Yeah.
yeah, I mean there's so much stuff that for them they are thinking long term. And if you look at the history of Dan and David, they don't build companies and flip them and just dump them in 3 years and sell them. Like they try to build long lasting big uh, industry changing companies. And if they sell it later, that's great. They do have a history of selling their companies, which is good. Maybe that's the goal. But I feel like yeah, when you're in a really bad market, a bear market, everything you see is negative. Like almost everything you see is negative. So like some of these jobs people are complaining about, they're not going to sell out. Like a lot of these drops and some of the things we see, if this was in a bull market, everyone would be happy. They would just be like, this is going to sell out right away and it's going to be profitable. It's like, because it's in a bear, right? Now you can pick it apart. And same thing with I think some of their deadlines. It's like, are you sure you want to get this as fast as you think you do? Because once you do, and if things pump, don't complain about you wish you bought Omi when it was cheaper. Don't complain about you didn't have time to stack comics. Don't complain about you didn't get enough MCP points. You weren't ready. It's like you had plenty of time. And if you're complaining about it, not getting it, once you get it, like, are you ready for that? So, be careful what you wish for, I think is part of it too. So have your own strategy. I think you're right about Omi. Some people just want to see, for me, I just want to see some utility, just some progress, just for them to acknowledge it. Of course, getting out exchanges would be a massive, massive help. But I'm kind of in the phase where I know it's going to do well, or I believe it's going to do really well. So I'm not in a hurry for it to pump. I want to accumulate. I want it to, if Bitcoin really crashes like a lot of people think, and Omi goes down with it, then I want to be able to scoop that up so that when it does move up later, I feel secure in the bag that I built, versus saying I never got a chance to really buy it and now it's pumping. And people are going to kind of complain no matter what, but especially when things are down, people are going to complain. So as soon as we start to get, like, say MCP goes live, people are going to complain there's nothing for us to do. There's MCP, I can see it, but I can't do anything. Same with OUP. I got OUP points, but I can't, there's nothing to do yet, right? Or there's no veve. So like they're always going to just move to the next thing and complain about that versus, like I said, it's good to think about the bigger picture. Are they on the right track? Are they making progress? And again, at the end of the day, you kind of have to have a little faith in the team. You can't know everything going on behind the scenes. The fact that David's super busy, and it sounds like they've made some really good progress with Mitch and some of the other new hires. I remember hearing that Ryan was saying they have some really, really good new hires, which is good to hear. I mean, that's kind of one thing that I hope that they put their money in the best ROI. With higher skilled tech leads, and I want to see them steal someone from Amazon, or I want to see them steal someone from Google or Apple. Like I want to see that, because that's that kind of level of quality person is not cheap, but what they bring to the table is huge, and it gives confidence to the rest of the community to know. And that's one of the reasons why I think IMX will do well later, which you don't have to talk about it now, but people don't really know what's going on behind the scenes at veve. They just hear about drops, they just hear about delays, so it's kind of all they have to talk about. They don't really know and I think that's why maybe Dan and David are probably more calm, because they see all the things, all the deals that are signed, all the networks they're building, all the connections. They can see out probably 6 months, 2 years, 5 years. They know what's happening, so they can just be chill and like, guys, don't freak out, everything's cool. Versus us, we can only see like 1 week ahead of the next drop, and that's all we can talk about and think about. So unless they really do us wrong, like you said, like they're dropping, major projects, or David leaves, like then we can worry. But all these like delays, or things aren't happening fast enough, like I said, as soon as we get it, people are just going to move the goalposts. The same thing with, cash out. As soon as we got cash out, it's like, great, what about this? Okay, now they got that. Oh, great, what about that? It's like, they're just going to move the goalposts.
Eventually people just aren't going to have things to complain about anymore. I mean, you have to give it enough time, but I mean, one thing that I used to talk with Corey a lot, he used to have a YouTube channel, and he used to make literally very, very extremely high quality videos. And I'm like, dude, this guy's almost like too like high, like, I don't know, the quality of his videos were just like bar none compared to like any other like veve content creator at the time, with his like transitions and his intro and his script writing and everything, and just the fluidity of I'm just like, holy crap, like this dude is literally a professional. And so luckily when veve took him on, and I remember talking to him at Decon last year, and I remember talking to him for a while, and so he gets to see everything behind the scenes. And so he told me, he's like, yeah, dude, any concerns I had about veve, about them going under or this or that or anything like that, he's like, they've all been alleviated. Like, I feel fine now. Like, I feel secure in my new position. I feel secure about veve and kind of like what's going forward, because he got to see everything. I don't know how far out. I think at least a year he knows what's going to happen, like a year out or whatever. But
yeah, and
like,
you know,
yeah,
Dan
like
and
anything,
David have things under their sleeves that nobody knows, because they, you know, if I'm a CEO and I'm, you know, in these rooms and making these talk, like, there's certain things even I'm going to keep to myself until I know it's a done deal and I can kind of share it. So like, you're right, now that he's kind of seen the cards that he has and the future path, that's you know, good to know that he's more comfortable. And I think it's, you know, the community, the engagement we have is like is unreal. So as soon as, like you said, a few things start clicking, people are going to run out of things to complain about. It's like, now what? Like what else you got? So it's not to say, you know, VV's, you know, perfect. They'll never do wrong. There's going to be bumps in the road. But when I look at other projects and other teams and other communities, it's like when I compare them one to one, there's things I see them struggling with or the things that they want. I'm like, VV already has this. VV's already doing this. VV already got that. That's like, I keep checking the box. Like, aside from a couple of things that they're either working on or they're going to have later, like the major things they have, which is IP and branding and recognition and community and leadership and experience, like they have the major things that every community needs and is dying for. They just don't have some of the other stuff set up yet, like the technical stuff. And obviously, you know, there's a bigger picture with the whole world and getting into NFTs and all that. And I do hope that they do make some positive change. In my opinion, it's a little bit easier right now, or actually it's a lot easier to pull in Web3 savvy people, crypto people, than to pull in complete newbies who are maybe real life collectors. Because for a regular person to spend, even like my dad and my friends, like, here's Darth Vader, it's $80, and they're like, okay, that's a lot of money, why? Right? Versus like, well, it's FA and the blockchain and this and secret, like they, like, that's foreign language to them. Versus someone in crypto or Web3, all you got to say is first appearance of Vader, first appearance of Batman. They know what that means. It's like, oh, what blockchain? Ethereum. Oh, cool. Okay, first appearance. How many editions? Like, that's their lingo. They're used to OpenSea. They're used to, you know, Magic Eden or whatever. Like, they understand that lingo. And some of them have deep pockets and they talk to people. They share things online. So like, to me, it's almost like easy buy-in. The acquisition cost is super low for that. I mean, that's kind of how VV started, right? People got an Omi, they got an FA Batman, a Spider-Man. Like, the word spread naturally from people interested in crypto, and then they became more experienced with Web3 and NFTs, and they started telling their family members and their friends. Like, to me, that's a lot more organic and easy to do. And I'd rather have a smaller number of users that are high quality and like really understand it, versus like, we need 20 million people and, you know, most of them are brand new to you know, to collecting, and they don't understand the blockchain. It's like, well, you know, I'd rather focus on quality versus just mass quantity, because I think the quantity will come, but I'd rather have the quality. So that's just my opinion. I feel like it's a much easier sell to bring in fresh faces and fresh money to crypto people or Web3 people, because they clicks for them, and we've already seen people spend a lot of money, so we don't need you know, complete strangers to, you know, technically get more money in the system.
Yeah. So are you, and I kind of want to talk about the potion, because we had a lot of people kind of just chime in recently. Are you afraid at all that, like, basically all the crypto people, all the NFT people that really realize the price of FAs, significant characters or items, or like potions, or like this potion, you know, there's no potion like this in Disney. There's no, it doesn't associate with any kind of like Disney character or anything like that. You just look at it and you're like, oh, it's just a Disney potion, whatever. But it's like a historical piece of like VV history. Like, this is the first burn mechanic that has existed, where it was designed to burn with it, or it's designed to burn itself, right? So that in and of itself is like a historical piece of VV, right? Same thing with like the first, I'm trying to remember which comic it is, but it has the Watcher. It's the FA Watcher. You know, that comic that it's the very first VV exclusive cover, right? And like, it's just priced really high for quote unquote no reason. So if you're a new user coming on, you're like, why is this random comic so high? Or why is this potion so expensive? Are you ever afraid that like all the big crypto or NFT or like whale people are going to basically price out the everyday person? Like, we're trying to appeal to the masses, right? At least that's what Dan and David, and it sounds like VV's trying to do. That like, when they eventually do get the masses on, they're like looking at stuff, they're like, wow, there's a lot of things on here that's just worth hundreds of dollars, and that's just out of my price range. We're like, how far along does the whole culture of NFT and digital collectibles have to be ingrained into the culture where people are finally going to be like, I'm looking at this for the first time, or like this is the first time I've ever buying digital collectibles, and yeah, spending $500 on an FA makes sense to me. I know I kind of like threw like 10 questions at you, but I figured I kind of just say a lot and let you kind of
Yeah,
figure
I
out what
think
you
it's
think from
one
there.
of those things when Todd was at 10K, it made sense to everybody. It's like first
Yeah,
appearance, that's huge. It's Batman, that's huge. It's digital collectibles, it's the first of the first. Like it's a triple FA, kind of like everyone's like, yeah, that makes sense. And then now it's like $750. They're like, I don't know, and maybe, but
yeah,
if we get crypto paying in a bull market, and like things, really start clicking, a couple years from now, and it's back to 10 grand or 20 grand or whatever, and people are gonna, yeah, it makes total sense. I get it, and that's kind of the effect of pricing on things. If you have like a nice bag, you price it at $5. It's like, oh, that looks cheap, or it feels cheap. Why is it $5? You put $500, like, ooh, why is it $500? What's so fancy about? Like, it's just,
mhm,
it's kind of optics, right? But I do think that FA from it's a little bit newer in the crypto scene and blockchain, but anyone that's actually collecting, right, whether it's comic books, Pokemon cards, sports cards, like everything's about first
yeah.
appearance, right? And rookie cards, and it's like it's everything matters.
Usually, yeah,
So
usually the usually like the rookie card of a pro athlete costs more than all the other years combined. Like the rookie year card of Kobe Bryant or LeBron or Barry Bonds or it's a bunch of other athletes too. It's like usually their rookie year card or like their rookie year appearance or whatever is always more expensive than like all the other years or like cards combined of like their entire career, which is kind of nuts.
yeah. And that's what, if
Mhm.
you look on, like I said, Randy and NFT Parts and some others found that out when they were collecting Pokemon cards. Like, wait a second, all the money's in these very select few cards here. They're getting the best ROI. So there's a YouTube video of like all the different Charizards over time, and some of them are like $200 and $300, and then there's one that's like 500 grand. It's like, whoa, where did that come from? So it's like,
Mhm.
again, there's 20 or 30 different versions of it, but for whatever reasons, in different formats, the money kind of funnels down to like the most special stuff. And for collecting, it usually means first appearance. So when you get like the most amazing combination is when you get something crazy popular, crazy rare, and it's like and it's a first appearance or it's a special edition for whatever. Like that is when you like strike gold, which that's why I have a secret rare miles, because I feel like that strikes gold in every single category. So for me, like that's nothing is even close to that right now for collectible, although there are things maybe like more significant, like a partners or first appearance of Marvel or first appearance Spider-Man. Maybe those are technically more significant, but when you put in the other factors,
Mhm.
the younger people and how scarce it is, like all that other stuff, the movies coming out, like to me, it's like it checks all the boxes. And that's kind of my newer strategies: go for the scarce grails, go for the things I think will withstand the test of time, versus before I used to just collect like whatever, like it's cheap, buy it, it's cheap MCP points, or looks cool, or I want to have 20 of these in my showroom for whatever reason. Like I
Mhm.
moved away from that to kind of more focusing my money to the special stuff.
Yeah. A couple of questions here. I'm gonna do this one first, just because it seems to be a bit shorter of an answer. But like this other one, Angel wants to know about potion, because we talked about the potion earlier. I'm totally down to talk about it again.
Oh
But
yeah, sorry, I didn't really answer your post.
no, it's fine. But one ton one every time I gotta say this, one ton mon asks, did platinum moments kill the golden moments spark? What do you think?
So yeah, we could talk about this, and I do want to get back to the post because it is
Oh, okay, yeah,
interesting. But
yeah,
it depends on who you're talking about, right? You're talking about the community, you're talking about people who have golden moments, or you're talking about people who are like new to the platform, or you're talking about Disney collectors. Like it kind of depends. I do think at first everyone was like, "Whoa, what?" Like they thought it was a joke or a meme, and this came true, and what's going
yeah,
on? And they're freaking out, and it's going to destroy the value. Right away, I said, like, hold on a second. Like let's get the details. Like what's FA? What are the mints? What does this mean? All that other kind of stuff. Because I think that for me, it made almost no impact. It's just like another cool thing to collect if you want FA of Minnie and Dumbo, and you want to do the
mhm,
poster thing. Or like that. That to me is cool, but it doesn't take away at all. I mean, honestly, the only thing hurting the golden moments is that they came out. They're down because they're part of the big bull run, and they retracted a lot, and the mints are really really high. Technically,
yeah,
for like for today's numbers, they're high, but the FAs that they are massive. Like the FAs they have are amazing, right? R2D2 and Iron Man and Partners and Mickey. Like the FAs are amazing, and they're golden statues. There's real life versions of them, so that to me is special, and they're always going to be in their own category. And they did say, um, I don't remember if it was Alex or Reese in a space was saying that they are working towards or talking to Disney about getting some kind of utility or burn or whatever
Mhm.
for the golden moments, right? So I think if you're able to burn them or reduce the supply or use them to merge to something or whatever, like then now it's like okay, the mint number thing is no longer an issue. Like we could see some crazy prices again. But to me, to answer your question, it didn't kill the moments at all. I think if you're a real collector, you're going to want both. And actually, maybe the play is to stack, some of the platinum moments because they are a lot more scarce.
Mhm.
Um, but I have a lot of golden moment sets, complete sets, and I'm not. It didn't bother me at all. I knew some people would drop the price a little bit, but like it's my vault value
Yeah.
barely moved actually. Aside from people, occasionally dropping the price on partners, but like that's about all the other stuff. Even if it went down, people start scooping them up because they're getting crazy cheap, like too cheap
Mhm.
to where it's like $120 for FAs, like Iron Man. Like, why the hell not? That sounds cheap to me.
Yeah. Yeah, that part was pretty interesting. So um yeah, so with like the partners and all that, I didn't think it was. I felt like golden moments would dip a little bit with the announcement, but like you said, it doesn't take away the fact that they're still FAs, they're still super significant characters, and I feel like in a kind of a weird way because like a lot of collectibles that happened during that bull run, they're not going to dip. I mean, they're going low, right? But some of them are going absurdly low because people did buy it very high. Like I'm there's so many collectibles I'm not selling just out of just sheer stubbornness. Where I'm like, I know I paid
Yeah.
4,500 gems for a Mickey hat. I could sell it right now for like, I don't know, 280 or whatever. I'm just too stubborn to like just let myself basically take like a 97% loss on my golden moment. So I'm like, no, I'm just gonna not do it. But with the
Yeah,
golden,
I think they're both special. They're just different, right? So if
yeah,
like again, the only thing that's really hurting it is the mints and the fact that they pump so hard, a lot of people are down. But if you like actually like they had the same mint numbers, they came out at the same time, like you made it equal in other categories.
mhm,
For me, the golden moment FA is like way bigger and far beyond and better than. And I like the platinum moments a lot actually, but to me, it's like they're not. It might actually help it in the future, right? Who knows? I mean, maybe
mhm,
people are going to click both and it's going to help them out, but yeah, the first, there's a first big Disney drop on veve. They're all FAs. To me, it's a special thing. Again, if the mint numbers could come down or there's some kind of utility later, that would kind of cancel out the negative stuff, I think.
mhm,
But yeah, I think if you like Disney stuff, it's actually, it's a cool set to get for sure.
yeah. And so as for the potions, we talked about it earlier, Angel. Go ahead and bring up the question again. It says, what do you think about the potion? What are you gonna do if you get it? Are you going to open it? Personally, and only because me and Pixel Trader talked about this earlier. TF2, Team Fortress 2, hat trading. We did digital collectible trading like long time ago, and there were such things called potions. There was Halloween potions, I guess, or spells that you could kind of like add to certain digital hats and weapons and stuff like that, or like outfits, and you would have like a cool effect, which is very similar to this, where essentially you're burning the potion, adding it to something, and now you get this new thing out of it. And for a long time, those potions were probably worth what? I don't know. I guess some of the potions, like when they initially came out, were worth like, I don't know, a couple bucks, like $1 or $2. Now some of the potions, on at least on that platform, I mean, they're going for like dozens of dollars, like multiples. And now it's getting so rare. I haven't looked at prices recently, but it would not surprise me if some of these items that either had the potion attached to it or the potions themselves were just worth absurd amounts. Because like the potions are good for the life of the game, so it's like as long as new items come out, you can still apply the potion to it. Now this one, the potion is just limited to strictly just the platinum moments. But again, I think because this is essentially like a historical moment in veve, where it's like this is the first like burn mechanic NFT that's designed to burn itself, and it's Disney, and it kind of interacts with another NFT, which is cool. I think these prices could go very high. Price wise, I don't know like a. Do you think the potions could break like 200 in the market? Do you think it could go like that parabolic?
Yeah, they could.
I think so.
I
think so too.
We don't know how many. It all depends on, like I said, the first hour or two, because everyone's going to be trying to buy these if the price is right. But like, it depends. If a lot of bots get them, are they going to floor them and dump them for like 50 gem profit or 2x?
I think it's
or
gonna.
Are they gonna hold on to them and wait till they're $150 a pop? And I mean, the thing that's helping us is people are desperate for gems right now, and like 2 extra money in like 5 minutes is pretty juicy. It's hard to pass that up.
Yeah.
But like I said, we're kind of at the mercy of, I think there's maybe 10 or 15 people that want to like really spend a lot of money, and they could easily pump the hell out of this if they want to, or if they're more patient, maybe they're waiting for them to expire, they're going to buy it. But it is a special item. But if enough human beings win it, I think there will be a decent amount of people dropping these for like 60 gems, 80 gems, hopefully 50 gems if you're fast enough to get one. But like once the people who really know what they're doing and like are actually stacking or got bigger pockets get a hold of a lot of them, then it might be like, okay, sayonara, I'm gonna wait for one under 150 before I have a chance. But I'm just gonna play the market. I'm not gonna FOMO too much. If I see a good deal, I'm gonna grab it. But I'm gonna be watching very closely, like the prices of the moments, the prices of the poster, how many are there. I'm hoping that data is easy to see, because you could do some really cool trades of like buy one, use it, sell it right away, or buy two and use it on the same. Like there's gonna be some really cool stuff you can do, but it's bringing a lot of excitement to veve, which is good. But that's the kind of the fun part, is no one knows an hour after the drop, are these going to be 200 gems? Are they going to be 50 gems? Are they going to be
I think it's going to do
floor price?
Yeah, well, I think it's going to do its typical slingshot thing, where it's like the first, of course, handful of people, the first like few minutes, going to start super high. The first few people are going to be like 1,000, 500 gems, 600 gems, 700, like whatever. It's going to be that high. And it's going to keep going down and down. People are going to keep undercutting. And then it's going to keep undercutting until it gets to the point where it's going to, settle around, who knows, 60, 70 gems. It's going to hover around there. Then it's just going to just go up and just like never look back. Like, and it just goes up. Sometimes it'll dip back down again. So like, let's say it goes up to 200, that's going to go down to like 130, then just like right back up to 200, like 6 hours later. Cause I mean, we've all been there where we look at a collectible, we're trying to buy it. Either we buy one or none. And we're like, it's too high. Okay. Then you look again and okay, now it's a little bit lower, but all right, could it go a little bit lower? And you look again like 3 or 4 hours later and you're like, wow, now it's 3x where it was earlier. I should have bought one. Like that happened to me so many times with Giants X-Men like secret rare. I really wanted to buy one like around 400, then it like ran up to like 1200, couldn't touch it again. And a few other ones. So, and especially since this potion, I really think the platinum moments are going to dump after this, because essentially if you have a Dumbo platinum moment and all you want is the Dumbo poster, you have the Dumbo poster or the platinum moment, you get a potion on drop, or let's say you buy a couple potions, you use 2 of them and you keep a potion for yourself, whatever. That utility of the platinum moment has been used up and you can sell it. And at the end of the day, you can have 1 platinum moment and 100 potions, and you can make 100 Dumbo potions or posters, right? So you only need one platinum moment, and the potions are really the limiting factor. And I think based on what Ryan said was that, the posters are already pre-minted. It's just like when you redeem it, you're going to automatically get airdropped the poster after the fact. And then on the last day or after the last day of when you can redeem the potion, that's where they just burn the rest of the posters as if they never existed. So
right, and I see the comment by Angel C in here about, technically once they expire, it's just a bottle, right? It's just a thing. But if it's the thing that's unique about this is like other drops before, like unless someone just like didn't list it for sale, it still existed though, right? These are actually decreasing in how many exist constantly as people are using them. And some people want the full set, and some people maybe want multiple full sets, and some people maybe going to wait till last second, so they might flood a bunch of them on the market last day or something. But technically it is a collectible, you're right. But sometimes when something loses, like it expires or whatever, it actually goes up in value because it's like a special moment in time. And I've seen it with other NFT projects, OpenSea projects, video games, like a pass that gave you access to something like an event or a tournament. Like it expires, it's useless, it's just a ticket, but it's expensive because it reminds people of that first time of this event or some celebration. And so like that's the thing. It's hard to tell if enough people care about that, or they're just gonna start dumping them. Like I'm curious, like the last day, even last hour or two, like if people are gonna start just dumping a bunch of stuff like to get rid of it, or if it's gonna be the opposite and people are gonna hoard them and buy up the floors, if the price drops. And then here I have 30 of these, FA burn, FA Disney utility, FA, and make, because they actually do look cool. Like I would want one just to have one aside from the utility. Probably they do look pretty cool. And I would not be surprised if in the future they had more potions of different colors or different bottles, and then you kind of want the set. And then maybe, although they said this potion is only for this drop and this is only used and there's no other uses that we can talk about or no that we have planned, that could change. So many things on veve have changed that they said were set in stone and then changed later. So for me, it's like when they expire, I think it's a good idea to at least have one, because you never know, what to expect. But it's going to be a good time to flip stuff for sure. Flipping either the collectibles or the potion or the posters. Like, there's going to be a lot of plays you can make if you're watching the market.
Yeah, because I don't own any of the platinum moments right now. I'm kind of just going to kind of go after the potions, and it's just basically strict on the history I've had with similar mechanics in other digital platforms that have had such mechanics like this, where thing is burning itself. It's a unique mechanic, and it also actually like looks cool too. Unfortunately, there is like a cutoff. Like if this was an ongoing thing forever, like this would keep going up and up and up and up in price. But the fact that it only lasts a few weeks, I mean, does hurt a tiny bit. But other than that, like I think it's gonna do really, really well. And I think the fact that it expires eventually makes it almost like vintage in a weird way. Like some people really like to collect those things, right? I like to collect items that have expired, utility or whatever it is. And like this is actually one of the very few like actually unique drops that we are getting on veve. So
actually, can you give me like 2 minutes? I have to grab something. I'll be right back.
Yeah, cool. Angel asks, when you use it, you're getting the poster. What happens with the digital? So yeah, so if you read the article, or I'll read it for you. Will you keep and collect this transformative potion bottle, or for a limited time, open the cap and unleash the wonder? Uncapping this, well, essentially, when you open it, it's apparently there's going to be some sort of interface. I'm not sure how they're going to do this. I'm actually really curious how it's going to look. Is that when you open the bottle, it's going to say, hey, which poster would you like based on the NFT you own? So it's not burning any of the platinum moments, it's burning the potion. So who knows, by the end, when it gets to April 26th, there could be only 900 potions left out of the 1900 or whatever. So people could burn half by using it, and the other half are in circulation. And even though it's expired utility, it's still a piece of that history. It's the only way to actually reference the poster or anything like that. So that's kind of what I meant earlier about like, I really think the platinum moments are actually probably going to dump, because that's the only utility you need. It's just, you only need one platinum moment, and you can have 100 potions, and you can use those 100 potions for that one platinum moment. But the second you're done with it, you could technically just sell it and like rebuy it at a lower price. Who knows, the platinum moments could also go down in price after this April 26th as well. Like, all right, the whole utility roller coaster of this potion slash platinum moment thing is done. I'm happy with what I got. I'm selling. It's done. I'm profitable. Who cares? Some people could do that as well. So that's kind of the whole scenario. And based on what Ryan said here, let me pull up Ryan. And this was a good question by Dino. Where is it? Okay, right here. So Ryan, who works for veve now, was question: does the collectible mint match the poster mint if you choose to uncap the potion? So does the collectible mint match the poster mint? So if you have a mint number 1000 Mickey and you use the potion, it doesn't mean you're going to get a mint 1000 poster, like with the matching Mickey poster. But Dino asked a good question down here, saying, what happens to all the remaining posters after the deadline for the potion? Currently, we have 1923 of each. Yada, yada, yada. Ryan basically says all unredeemed posters are burned as part of the mechanism of being performed. So essentially, what it sounds like veve has done, in a weird way, has already pre-minted all the posters, and then as you redeem them, or as you burn the potion to claim it, you instantly get airdropped, because it actually says here, for number 6, does uncapping the potion give you the poster immediately? There's no wait time for delivery. Yes. So when you open that potion, you're getting immediately a poster, and it's going to take, I would assume, a random mint from that pre-minted amount of that poster, and then any that aren't used for the potion process are just going to get burned. So all those extra posters don't see the light of day. They get burned. They get thrown into the burn wallet, whatever it is. So All right. Austin says, I think there will be a few potions upcoming based on the wording in the article. I'm happy I went for mini and got her on drop. I think she will do better long-term than Dumbo. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me because there's going to be a lot of mini stuff. And it is her FA, don't get me wrong. And obviously she is more popular than Dumbo, but we'll have to see. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, that's the classic, like, less popular character with less mints, or more popular character but also has more mints. What's gonna do better? I don't know. That whole, like, Star Wars character, is it Mitoban or whatever the heck her name is for, like, the Obi-Wan drop? That still surprises me. Like, that's a secret rare, literally a nobody character, and that thing is still, like, sky high. Actually, I'm kind of curious what the heck that thing is at right now while we wait for Pixel Trader to come back.
I'm back, and actually I just saw on Twitter, the news is that if you guys are familiar with Safe Moon, the coin, I guess they had an exploit and lost close to $10 million. So wow. I know people like to talk about security and stuff. It's not exactly related to VV, but I have seen my share of not only just rugs projects disappearing, but wallets getting hacked, clicking the wrong link, exploits, crypto, like just so much chaos. So I do feel like sometimes like this is like, I'm glad to be on VV, and although it's you know, a centralized system, it's, you feel a lot more safe with your stuff in there.
I'm not sure if you caught some of that, but we're talking about
I heard it.
So talking about Dumbo mini doing better than Dumbo long term, but then again I'm like, remember this Manitoban or whatever, this a fearsome mercenary, like literally a no-namer character, like literally a character that got about what I think 2 minutes of screen time in the show is worth like almost 300 gems, and it's strictly getting carried by the fact it's so rare. And if you want to complete the set, that's, you know, how much it's going to cost you.
You're stacking it, you said?
Yeah, at least 10 or 15 of them.
How many mints was that one? I don't remember.
I wish I could look back. Let's take a look. Less than 500.
Okay.
And I think that's after VV withholds 90. Or before VV withholds 90. So it's probably closer to like, I don't know, 390, 400. So.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. Whenever something comes out now, you're looking at the mints. It's like, I still have not. I'm not trying to pump my own bags because I have a Miles Secret Rare, but I still like. I don't see it. I don't see anything competing with it. Still, I mean, if this Hulk that's coming out like looked amazing, and it was like, you know, super limited, maybe, you know, but like the Secret Rare is, you know, technically pretty low mint if it's like 500 or 600, but Miles is like 160 public mints. It's like, it's so hard to beat that.
Yeah, it's tough to do that. Let's see here. Yeah, so we talked about the potions. We talked about the Hulk drop. There's not much to say. Like, it's FA Hulk. It's a big deal. We have no idea what the mint price is or the drop price. I mean, that's going to determine everything about the drop. And it sounds like it's going to be. I want to know
what people think by the looks of it. What do you guys think of the look of Hulk? We have no details yet on the mint or the, like, what do you think? Is that something you're proud of that you want to buy, assuming it's like affordable price?
Yeah, I always see what's his name? VV Digital Collectibles.eth always like just show a super zoomed in version of it's always, he always like has a zoomed in thing of their face, and sometimes
like
looks funny.
Hulk.
Yeah, like it's always like super zoomed in on their face, and it's like trash or bad or whatever it is. Like I don't know, like is the graphics or how well it's detailed matter to you? Because I feel like this is an issue VV's had for a while, which is like the Marvel stuff always just looks like trash compared to DC, and that's because a lot of the DC drops that we've had, like a lot of the black and white series stuff, like those are actually statues in real life. Like there's actual physicals, which means at some point a designer actually had to make 3D assets digitally, have everything mapped out. So I think for VV that was just a plug and play. Like I think they got with DC Direct, and whatever art assets they had digitally, they just gave it to VV, and they're like, hey, here's a digital version, just put color on it and then you're good. But with Marvel, they have to build everything from the ground up. Like I don't think Marvel has like assets maybe that VV wants them to use or whatever it is. And so that's why a lot of the Marvel drops look like really inconsistent compared to each other.
And I think they're either outsourcing it or whoever they're partnering with to make these assets. I think maybe whoever the DC team has, like you said, either they're using their own stuff, the highest quality models that they already have made, or they have the whatever in-house stuff or people that they use to make it, and that's their specialty. Because to me, if I didn't know what this looks like a video game for like PS3 or something. It doesn't look like like amazing, super badass, high graphic, and I don't think it needs to be like ultra realistic. But this to me, it feels like it's a cartoon or like a video game, like the Marvel Ultimate Alliance or something. It doesn't scream like badass. Like I think, of course, it's easier on items that don't have like a face, like Spider-Man or Miles or Batman or some of these other ones. When you have a face, they are very hard to do. I used to be in art and 3D modeling a little bit, and they are very hard to do. But Hulk has had so many different versions. I don't think people care that much about like it has to look like a specific version of a Hulk. They just wanted it to look badass in general and kind of do it justice, because like the FA of like Iron Man, or not Iron Man, Thor was like, to me, a disaster. That was so bad. Like it was like such a missed opportunity. It looked like a very bad version of a
eyeballs
video
were
game.
missing and shit. Like it was just like there was a lot wrong with it.
It looked horrible. I mean, honestly, it was a joke, but people thought like, well, dude, Elektra looks pretty good compared to Thor. And now like, geez Louise. But then they had like, Black Panther looked like extremely high quality, amazing animation, the detail, same with like Miles, or like even like Superman. Like some of these look super top notch and awesome, and you can see how they would be used in the future metaverses or games. To me, this doesn't like have that feel at all. It looks too cartoony, and like I don't I like that it's Hulk. It does look cool, but like if I'm thinking about like how it could have looked, and you can see in the comments, there's some people in there that are like veve fans, like diehard veve regulars, and they do not like the look of this at all. And I think it just might be just a pill we have to swallow. Is sometimes you're gonna get something that looks like movie quality or super badass or really cool, and sometimes you can get stuff that looks like it's a cartoon or a video game, or it's just like, well, that's the FA. So I think when that happens, to me, it's like, all right, I got to rely on the comic book now. I got to rely on the FA comic to kind of get my fix of FA, if the collectible doesn't look good. But it is a bummer. I mean, I wish, I'm sure they'll have more Hulks in the future, but like I feel like if the FA Hulk, I kind of wish it was not as cartoony and, looking like a video game character.
Yeah, it says, okay, this is borderline PS2 graphics. Seems like D team worked on this collectible. Got some other things. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's not going to take away the fact it's still FA Hulk. Even if it looks like trash, I mean, you see a lot of comics or a lot of first appearances of characters or cards or collectibles, and like sometimes the first iteration of that hero or that villain, it looks like trash. Like that's the one I have with let me pull it up here.
Well, I think there's saving grace. It has to be low mints and a good drop, a good price on the drop. If it is at all high mints or expensive, like to me, I went from like loving it, gotta have it FA Hulk, to just like, nah, no thanks, I don't care. Which is like, I wanted it to be in my showroom and look cool and look like Hulk and badass. I didn't want to look like, PS3 or PS2, like, it's kind of this cartoon thing. Like, I don't know, like if they're gonna have that version of it, hopefully they nail the drop stuff. Otherwise, a lot of people are gonna get turned off, and then again, it kind of feels like a missed opportunity. But I don't know the bigger picture, but it does seem like there's really, really big inconsistencies with some of the collectibles, and just as far as quality standards.
Yeah, because the one I was gonna say is like, I think it's okay to have the first appearance, even if they never update it. It might not be ideal, and like they could update it later. But it's like when I look at like the first appearance, and this is like totally different. I get that, but sometimes the first appearance of characters, like their first iteration, just looks like just not good. But with digital collectibles, you can actually update it later. I think it was David or Dan, or I'm sure someone on the team at some point said like, yeah, well, we can always update the look of the collectibles later, or we can update them if they want. That of course opens up a whole new can of worms of like, all right, what if I don't want my collectible updated? I bought it the way it is. I don't want it to be changed. Or when you're updating it, like that could take a long time. I don't think veve would actually have a department that's dedicated to like upscaling or making certain collectibles look better. Like that's like literally that's like number 947 on their list of things to do, where it's like, hey, let's like update the art on some pre-existing NFTs that, okay, maybe we update it, it might pump a little bit, but it's like not going to earn us a ton of money doing this. Like we're actually spending money and resources on already released collectibles that the market's already stagnant on it, or it's like already kind of established a price. So
Yeah, and I think part of it too is not just the look of it. Maybe it'll look really cool in AR. Maybe it's gonna look better in the app or something. Maybe it's just the picture that they use, right? But if you think about our showrooms, because that's all we have so far, like there's such a mismatch of like certain things. Some look realistic, some look like toys, some look like goofy art. Like they're these things all live in the same world. So I think sometimes that's part of it too. Is the collectibles we have are like all over the place as far as like what they look like. So like we have Sesame Street, which looks like a plastic toy, which is pretty cool. That makes sense to me. And then we have other stuff that looks, kind of more realistic, like a T-Rex. Or we have Batman, which is like a statue of a physical. Like so they're kind of all over the place. I'm curious. I do want to see how this looks in AR and in the showrooms for sure.
Yeah, because I mean, if we look at I don't know, like the Harley Quinns, like they actually all look really good. Like all the Harley Quinns look really good, but then you compare it to something like, I don't know, Storm. Like literally either Invisible Woman Sue Storm or this Storm. And for some reason, like I don't know why, all the female Marvel characters are just like, they just do not look good on veve at all. I'm trying to remember the other one too that was released. Do you remember? I thought there was like another female like Marvel superhero, or Elektra, obviously.
Oh yeah, Elektra, Storm.
I think that's a K actually.
Wonder
Elektra,
Woman,
Storm.
or no, Invisible Woman. I mean. Yeah, I mean we have some collectibles that straight up look like toys, which if that's what they're going for, I understand it. We have some that are like realistic versions. We have some that are copies of physical statues. Yeah, it's funny looking at like stuff like this, like Electric. This is like a flashback to where like there's super high mints, five different versions of it, and like all of them look bad. It's like, oh my gosh. And it almost becomes like a meme worthy. Like it almost like it becomes special because it's so bad.
Yeah, exactly. Like Victor Texas is saying, yeah, look, Miles and Moon Knight, Kang, Black Panther, they all look amazing quality, and now we're getting Thor Lenectra quality. Like what the fuck did can we bring back Trevor?
Yeah, and I'm sure it's something with the business where like it's probably honestly kind of outside veve control, because they're just like their job is to their job is to sell collectibles, right? Just like put it out, like next thing. So I don't know for them if it's worth tying up too much time or resources to like make it look better, or they're working with their licensors of like, we're doing FA Hulk, okay, here's what we can give you, and like that's what you get. Like, okay. So I'm not sure how much say they even have on it, but it's like there is a fine line. But I think for the most part, when you have a collectible, it just has to look like the person or the thing that it is, and it has to just have some kind of level of being genuine. So if it's again Sesame Street, it should look kiddie and toyish and like it's like a real life thing. It's like a cartoon. But if it's supposed to be something seriously badass and serious and like whatever, then like it's gotta feel like that. And to me, the whole kind of feels like it's out of a video game and kind of Yeah,
veve Wheels says here, it would be cool. It will be cool for a minute, then like everything else, it will drop. That's been happening for a while, and that's true. And as much as I hate to say it, all the drops that I've gotten the last like 6, 7, 8 months, like all the ones that I won on drop and just sold immediately, like I've almost never been wrong, except for I'm talking hyper grails, right? Like huge things. But other than that, like there's quite a few drops, and if you can think of any, let me know. But like there's a few drops. Like I think Hulk could be one of these. I mean, he's a big time hero. But it's like, the hype is going to go up, but it's going to just slowly bleed out. We've seen it with Vader. We saw it with Boba Fett. We saw it with... actually, it might be better if I go through the collectibles here. Like, is there any other drops that you saw where there's, like, a ton of hype around it? Oh, my God, this is such a huge, like, grail thing. Maybe not grail status, but, like, it's a very high A-tier collectible. Or maybe, like, a low grail tier. But then it's, like, it just slowly bled out. Like, nothing... I would say Lambo was kind of like that.
Lambo,
everyone was like...
Darth Vader. I'm like, part of it's just like the market cycle. More recent stuff, probably Lambo is the most recent one. That one's kind of unique because there's 4 versions that all look kind of cool, but you could technically get a Lambo for $80, right, or $70 or whatever. So it's kind of like if you just want to get a Lambo, you can get the cheapest thing. But I can't think of one that was like a solo drop or a single item that was like super hyped and then fell off a cliff. I mean, honestly, there's like very few things that have consistently done well. One of them is like Miles. Even if they pull back, they go back up typically. AF-15 comic, even if it pulls back, you know, there's enough popularity, it'll go back up later. Like I don't, there's not very many things that have just consistently like survived.
Yeah, like I know one, and it was like very temporary, which was RoboCop. Remember, like RoboCop went a bit higher than like I expected, or like that a lot of people expected, including me.
RoboCop was worth a lot more than I thought it was going to be 20 or 30% under retail immediately, and it wasn't.
And it didn't sell out or something like that. I don't know why this is not loading, but yeah, RoboCop was one that like it actually went up. You know, it was probably like I don't know, like 50% above box. Because what was the box price for that? 60. And then I saw it went up to like 88 or like 90, and I'm like, damn, this thing is actually like 50% above box. And then obviously it's been bleeding out, so I would imagine, since then.
Well, that's kind of the curse of what we have. We have so many options, and that's kind of actually why I like Omi. We have so many options. It's like it sounds bad, but it's like to get something that will withstand the test of time, and it's at a good price, and it looks amazing, and it's rare, and it's like there's so many things that kind of have to line up. It's like you really got to be picky with. And if you want something because you love it and you like it, that's different than like if you're trying to get a good ROI on it and investment. Like you really do have to be picky because there's gonna be so many drops in the future. I mean, there's probably gonna be 5 or 6 different Lambos later. There's gonna be 50 different Mickeys and 50 different there's gonna be so many versions that could come out that maybe one of them looks better or it's more rare or whatever. So like you really got to have a strategy, but again, that's kind of why I like Omi, because you're investing in the entire project. So if if there's collectibles that are pumping, or if there's something that's worth a lot of money, burning Omi, or just increasing the liquidity and the popularity of the app, then Omi should do better versus trying to handpick the specific collectibles you think you're going to pump the most.
Yeah, I think another one that I just kind of looked at right now is Oswald. Remember Oswald was it's supposed to be like another like huge grail, and don't get me wrong, it's a grail in its own sense, but why is I can't not find this?
It had the David Yu curse, right? Whenever David Yu starts talking about a drop, it's kind of like he's trying to help it out.
Yeah.
Usually it does the opposite. It tanks.
Yeah, so let's see here. I'm actually going to pull over the graph on my NFT tracker for it. So we'll look at the wait, was there? Oh yeah, there was 2 secret rares for this, huh? That was kind of weird. But we look at the chart for this over the last I don't know, 180 days. It's gone up and down a bit, but I do remember it peaking at like 250 or something. Like it was up there for a while. Was that 200? Kind of keeps going up and down, but so far the trend, it has been just like down overall. And last I saw, the price was like 223 or 123. So it's one of those things where, oh my god, it's a grail. I mean, it's way less mints than Steamboat Willie, but even now it's like $120 apparently for a grail, right? Like that's
and after every drop, there's the people who won the drop, so like they're already at 2x, 3x, whatever. Like so for them at any time they can kind of just like get it. So some of the stuff, like you said, has a really slow bleed, but the low mints helps out a lot because actually there's some decon stuff that I look at that technically is way more expensive than it should be, but there's so few of them and it came out so long ago, like over a year ago, that it's actually hard for them to drop in price because there's enough people that actually like it that they don't want to sell it for dirt cheap. But like there's some things in the app I'm like, why is this 600 gems or why is this 250 gems? Like this is nowhere near what I could spend on AF-15 or a TOD like that. Technically there's way better places to spend your money, but they are propped up on the fact that either everyone already sold that wanted to sell, or they're so rare.
Yeah, the rare people just refuse to take absurdly large losses, at least in their mind. So a little bit more stuff from Victor, Texas, and we'll probably get off here in about 5 minutes because I know we've been streaming for a while. I know you need to get on with your day too. This is, I feel like the free Hulk in 24 hours to stop the FUD was a very bad move. It will sell because of all the ad tags, but it will save this historical bitter moment. We love veve, but this community deserves transparency. So, do you feel like the Hulk drop was kind of a something to kind of just staunch the wound that was the over-the-counter thing, or just kind of all the drama, or was this already planned way in advance and it just happened to coincide roughly at the same time?
It's hard to tell because I could easily see it being either or. I mean, maybe they had this planned 3 months ago, and I mean, there's always going to be some kind of like negativity or FUD or whatever you want to call it. That's always going to be there. So anytime you can be like, oh, perfect timing. Oh, it must be, you know, of course they dropped this. It's like, well, there's almost always something like in the space that's like people are not happy about. But you know, so if it wasn't this, they'd be saying, oh, MCP is not out yet, so this is why you're dropping that.
Yeah.
Like, but from a business side, it's not a bad idea, right? Maybe they have stuff they could pretty much drop whenever they want. It's like done, and you know they're like, well, let's change, let's get people like excited again and get them happy. They're not like trying to distract from it per se, maybe, or like, you know, ignore it, but they're just like, this is a good time to change people's minds and get them excited again. Because, but yeah, I don't know. It's hard to tell. Even if veve says that that's not the case, it could easily be. I mean, companies are smart. They're not gonna let negativity brew too long.
Yeah. Taco Breaks, thank you so much for the $5, dude. I'm sure the little notification's gonna go off here in a little bit. Good question here. We weren't necessarily like avoiding this. I mean, this was actually on one of the listed topics to talk about. We were just kind of talking about other stuff. But we'll bring it up now. What do you think about Disney Metaverse going out of business? veve is not pulling funds on Metaverse. How do you think that goes together? So, in case you guys didn't know, Disney did kind of just like close the doors on their whole like Metaverse sector, or like their department, talking about their Metaverse, how they fired 50 people. I think I actually have the article pulled up here.
Yeah, they fired, I believe, roughly 50 people, and it's part of their system of, or it's part of their plan to, I think they're cutting like 7,000 employees to save like $6 billion or something like that. So it's part of a bigger thing. They're not like specifically picking out the Metaverse to kill. And also, if you look in the article, or you look at some of the other stuff, Disney says they still believe, you know, digital items are the future, and they're excited about the future of storytelling with digital items and Metaverse. So to me, it just feels like a short-term hiccup. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, later this year they come back, or next year they come back, but it is kind of like a slap in the face of like, oh my God, what's going on? And I know some people are saying this is, you know, maybe this is bullish for veve because now they have to lean on us more. We have all the NFTs still. So, I can see that point too. I think a lot of people still think that Disney might just straight up buy out veve in the future. That would be kind of nice. But it's not, again, looking at bigger picture, Bob Iger and Disney still wants to do NFTs, digital storytelling, digital experiences, Metaverse. So they still want to do it.
They're just, at the end of the day, yeah.
They're just laying people off right now, like everybody else.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I think, you know, Dino, he's a big time Disney fan. He's been going to Disneyland probably dozens of times. Probably the only person that's beat him in the amount of times they got to Disneyland is oh my gosh, veve Magic. She's probably the only person probably in the veve community that's like gone to Disneyland stuff more times than Dino. But even he said, he's like, dude, Disney's greedy. Like, they'll do anything they can, or they'll find any way to kind of like get extra cash, money, find a new avenue, new vertical, like whatever it is, you know, platinum moments. That's where we kind of joked about, like, me and him joked around about platinum moments like 8 or 9 months ago. And that's kind of where that's the first thing I tweeted out when they announced it. I was like, Dino, remember joking about this? Like probably like 9 months to like a year ago, we were joking about platinum moments. We're like, dude, it would be hilarious if like we're done with golden moments and Disney's like, yo, we got platinum moments, then we got diamond moments, and then we got like sapphire or like whatever moments. Like, it just gets higher and higher and higher, and we're like, wait, what?
Well, the thing is, it's not crazy because these things are real. These are real things. They already exist.
Yeah,
it's not
exactly.
like they're gonna make up like, you know, dark energy moment. It's like they already have these in real life, so it's not like a big stretch to assume they'd make other ones. I think it was more like people thought early on like gold moments is the only thing that'll ever happen, and they're so special. It's like they are still special, but don't be surprised. I think they do have some pretty special statues and collectibles like pins and figurines that are like diamond moments, and they have other moments. So I would not be surprised if they do stuff like that. But again, that's when we'll see if they withstand the test of time because they're rare. Like to me, this 100th anniversary, like, is that a big deal to people? Do people care that much outside maybe Disney fans, or is it mostly that their FA and their lower mints? Like to me, that's what most people care about: their FA and lower mints, versus like it's a Disney. So if they weren't FA, I don't think people would care very much at all. Or if they were, higher mints, they would really struggle. So I think, but yeah, the metaverse Disney thing, of course, was kind of a negative slap in the face. It didn't feel good to see that. But the more you look into it, it's more just like, they're still bullish on the future of digital worlds and digital storytelling. So I don't think, I mean, Facebook laid off a ton of people. They killed their metaverse, or they didn't kill it, but they kind of put it on hold. It's just right now going into recession or in a recession. A lot of these big, especially tech companies, are just laying off people like crazy. They're like, we got to be more tight and more sound with our money. No more, over hiring, overpaying, and just having people do all kinds of crazy stuff. Like we need to really focus our energy. So yeah, it's not great news, but again, it's probably just delaying things for a couple quarters or a couple years, and that's about it.
Yeah, I just don't see Disney like completely backing away, throwing up their hands, be like, yeah, we tried this digital thing. It just doesn't make sense. I think it just as of right now, and who knows, maybe they did a lot of Victor, Texas, thank you so much for the $5, dude. I appreciate it. And I appreciate all you guys being active in chat. I did ask earlier, if you guys have any questions for us, just throw it in the chat. But we're going to be ending it here in a couple minutes. But yeah, it doesn't sound like it would be Disney's style. They kind of just throw their hands up like, yeah, there's a huge opportunity here to make a bunch of money. All right, we give up. Like, it sounds like they're just making a strategic retreat and kind of just letting all this stuff unfold. I think they're almost kind of curious to see like, hey, how's this like Amazon NFT thing gonna play out? How are these other platforms? Starbucks has got their own NFTs. I already said Amazon. There was also like another big NFT announcement, like Pokemon. Like they're hiring people for their Web3 experience. People that have
eBay Marketplace, Amazon Marketplace, Pokemon.
It's like it might be Disney, and Disney's always been well known for like just kind of like letting stuff play out, and then they see that stuff works, and then they step in and make their own version of it, right? They did it with Disney Plus. They've done it with other platforms and other like products that they have to offer, where they're like, all right, oh hey, there's this new thing happening, like online streaming. Let's just let that play out for like a few years, and like if it's profitable, we'll just do our own version of it. So maybe,
or they could just be reassessing, and like right now the team we have with like, we don't want to do that. Let's clean slate. Get our money sound, and then say, they're saving like $6 billion or whatever. Like, then they're just probably going to reassess. Like, okay, here's what we want to do now. We learned more. We watched more. Disney sometimes doesn't want to be the first person to do something. They want to sit back and watch, examples, Netflix, and a bunch of other stuff. Yeah. So the fact that if they said that like they're not interested in it, or they're not going to pursue it, that would be scary. The fact that they're still like super, super passionate about going digital, that to me is more important than them saying we're cutting this division for right now.
Yeah, I feel like it's almost like they kind of wait for something to be either financially or like culturally accepted, like the whole online streaming thing and like DVDs and all the all the new technology when it comes to consuming entertainment. It's almost like they they almost like wait for it to become like the norm, and it's like, oh yeah, you have to have a DVD player. We don't do VHS anymore, or like, yeah, everyone watches online streaming services, and like now there's enough money to where it makes sense to actually like become a competitor, or at least like step into the picture. So it almost seems like Disney style is like, is it culturally and financially, is it socially acceptable to start doing this so we don't piss off half of our fan base that we're now getting into like speculative NFT digital collectible thing that has a lot of nuance around scams. Like they might just step back into this like 2 years from now, be like, all right, the whole Amazon thing's doing well, VV's doing well, all right, now we're gonna do our own thing because now it's socially acceptable to actually like talk and buy NFTs now.
Yeah, and if your goal is just to win, or just to be successful, would you rather play against the best team like just first and just see if you win, or would you rather watch them play games for 2 years and then play? Like, you want all the advantages, all the information. Like you said, get the culture on your side, make it more normal.
Yeah, you just copy their plays, you get their schemes, you do all their stuff, and they're like, oh, okay, so this is kind of like the recipe for success in this like new realm or this new game.
Yeah, and then you show up with the biggest IPs, and it's like, yeah, done deal. Makes sense.
Yeah, it's like okay, we have this team. with an unlimited salary cap. Now we can just buy the best players. We have all the schemes. We know what to do. Let's just go for it. So I do want to read Taco Breaks thing. Says veve is already has the metaverse going in production. You think Disney will put their metaverse project into veve? Interesting. What do you think about that?
Well, that's the thing. Like everyone, or not everyone, a lot of people are automatically saying, VeVe's a small team, and that's crazy, and that's stupid, and why would Disney trust them? But like, we don't know what they're doing behind the scenes.
We
I mean,
have no
it could
idea
be,
how big that team is. Like we
yeah,
know
or
like vve's
Disney
team
could be.
Yeah.
I mean, it might already be. They've already had discussions for like, we're gonna make the metaverse, or you're gonna make your version, and we will look at it, and then either adapt it or buy you. Like, they're both like moving their chess pieces. I don't think it's like as simple as like, oh great, now Disney's gonna, vve's gonna make their Vverse and they're gonna buy. Like, I don't think it's that simple, just clear cut.
Yeah.
But it could be the fact that they're saying, make your metaverse, make it as good as you can. Here's some things we'd like you to do, and if it meets our criteria, we will likely, adopt that or buy it out or whatever. Like, who knows, right? I mean, is it a slim chance? Possibly, but it's not zero, right?
Yeah.
I mean, people say, well, why would Disney do that? They could make their own metaverse, their own NFT. It's like, possibly they could, but buying out smaller companies that have done the legwork and done that's a very normal thing. So maybe they buy them and they just make it better. Maybe they buy them and they add a ton of resources and tech and team and funding. Like, maybe they just put it on steroids, but like maybe veve helped them get it started. Yeah. That's a possibility too. I mean, it's not out of the picture. That would be a great scenario, of course, but we have no idea what vve's team is or who they outsource or how much money. Like, none of that stuff. We have no clue.
Yeah. When you said but it's not zero, like the chance of it kind of reminded me of that meme. I don't know if you ever seen that meme where people put like some crazy scenario. It's like will your pet turtle kill you? And it'll say like no, but the chance is not zero. Like your turtle could just randomly kill you like in the middle of the night.
Or Dumb and Dumber, you're telling me there's a chance.
Yeah, exactly like that. Or I'm trying to remember the other one. There's another meme, and I think it's kind of more recent. It talks about like 50-50. They're like, oh, oh man, could this happen? And it's like, well, it's 50-50. Either it does or it doesn't. Like no other factors matter. It's like yes or no, like 50-50. Like no matter what the other like variables are, it's always 50-50 because it's like yes or no. It could happen.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be as clear as Disney buys them out or Disney. Yeah. Like, it could just be like their partnership is so strong, they have their own metaverses, but that relationship helps them, interoperable with each other or give utility to each other. Like, there's a lot of other good things it could be besides, Disney is relying on veve to make their metaverse or whatever.
Yeah. So Austin, we'll finish up these last couple of questions and then we'll hop off the stream and then. So Austin asks or says, as a Disney fan, the utility matters the most to me. For example, maybe bonus features on Disney Plus for certain movies or shows or whatever it may be. Right now, the utility is just additional NFTs. And yeah, and that's something I've been saying for a while too, is like, that's why I haven't been too bullish on like some other projects or some other things where it's like, if the only utility of having a digital collectible is just getting more digital collectibles, eventually it's not going to mean anything because it's almost like, you're drawing a card from a deck, right? It's like, cool. You're like, yeah, you draw a card, and then you draw another card. Hey, because I have two cards, I can draw another card. It's like, all right, it's still like, what's giving it its value? Just the fact that you can draw another card. Like, what are the cards worth? Like, is it really worth anything if you're just getting free cards over and over and over and over? What's the utility attached to it? And I think that's why a lot of NFT utility needs to either be fleshed out in like gamification or something like that in a metaverse, or it needs to give you real life utility. Like, you have it, and you go to Disneyland, and then because you own the Elsa statue, now you could take a unique picture, or Elsa gives you and your daughter like a really unique postcard or like a card that she signs because you have the Disney statue or something like that. So what are your thoughts on that? About like just utility is just you get more NFTs.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of projects like that. It's like airdrops. It's always cool when you buy into something or you have a and this like surprise utility, or they tell you there's utility but you don't know what it is, and it's like it's a rare airdrop or it's access to some event or some community. Like, that's cool. But yeah, for a lot of project utility is just like, you join our Discord and you're part of a community and we're gonna do stuff later, or like real life events possibly. It's like, okay, but like the thing with utilities, it's tricky because if is it going to be a forever ongoing thing, or is it going to be a short temporary thing? Because once it's over, then it's kind of like the utility runs out. Then it's like now doesn't have that, especially.
Mhm.
So technically, the golden moments had 1 month of Disney Plus utility. They already had that technically, right?
Yeah.
Um, and technically, some other stuff has already had utility on the app, but we don't really have anything that's like ongoing utility,
Mhm.
whether it's perks or discounts or access to stuff, which I think will come either from the licensors or the community, right? Like the thing that's going to be crazy is when things start pumping like hard, like Omi. I already know like Randy and even probably myself and some others. Like once Omi like really pumps, we can make our own communities, our own utility, our own
Mhm.
meta. Like we can do whatever we want now because we have the
Yeah.
resources and all that. So utility is going to be cool to see, not just from the licensors, but also from veve. Like we still have the veve logo, which has it's had a couple utility things within real life stuff, but that's the only thing I can think of that
Yeah, it
kind
has
of probably
ongoing
has
utility.
yeah,
That is ongoing.
indefinite utility.
And even then, it's not completely mapped out. And Vivi even said, like, if Disney decides to not do utility or go to the moments for whatever reason, they could still do utility. It's their platform. They could just say, hey, by the way, if you have a golden moment or if you have the set, we can give you a whitelist for this random Star Wars drop. Or,
Yeah, actually,
hey,
yeah, you just reminded me. To me, I think I said in a space a while ago. Like, if you're thinking about utility, like ongoing, and I guess this is actually probably just like MCP, pretty much. But
mhm,
if you held a full set, like say Golden Moments, and they gave you a whitelist spot or early access, even if it's not guaranteed, you just have like a chance to get something early. That to me is like forever utility because people don't want to sell it because they don't know what drops are coming out in the future. They don't know like what grails could possibly come. So like you're holding your sets because it gives you access to stuff. Kind of like the back cows, you get early access if you hold one. So you want to always have like at least one, and also to probably pump the price because whenever there's something super, fancy or exclusive or rare that comes out, if you don't have the set, you don't even have a chance to, or you have less of a chance to get it. So that's going to make you want to raise the floor and buy more. So
mhm.
like to me, that's like a good way to secure the price of certain collectible sets and like have them slowly raise or pump at certain times, but people aren't dumping them because there's constant utility. So that's kind of actually what MCP I think is gonna be in general. It just like gives you forever utility to certain drops that you want to,
Yeah.
so you don't want to like lose all your MCP points. But that to me is like that's the only way to like really secure sets value
Yeah.
long term.
I would also like to see them occasionally, like if you own, like let's say the Star Wars set, like the original, like if you own R2D2 and C3PO, like the Golden Moment set, that occasionally, not every Star Wars drop, but occasionally they'll say, hey, if you own this Golden Moments set as of today, like right now, when you not gamble, but you know how you can like put in MCP points towards like winning the tickets or whatever, right? You can like win the drop without competing gem
Yep.
wise. Um, or kind of like whitelist you essentially, because you still have to pay for it, but you can get like whitelisted to like win it. It would be cool if it said like, hey, if you own the golden moments, you get 20% more tickets. So it's like if I put in 100 tickets, now I get 120 tickets, right? So I get a slight edge, or it might actually encourage me to put in more tickets because I can now benefit from that 20% more. And Vivi could just do that because that whole mechanism is something they created. The MCP, the whole ticket system, OUP, like all that stuff, like they created themselves. So I think if they really wanted to like incentivize people to like buy sets and hold on to them, like, hey, I love Marvel, and because I got the Miles Morales set, now anytime there's like a Miles drop or Spider-Man related drop, like involving Spider-Man or like a Spider-Man adjacent character or whatever, like there's a chance that I could just get 20% more tickets whenever I put tickets in for MCP to like win the drop, something like that. I think
Yeah, and
the
it's
fun
hard
part
because
is, well, like Vivi has like a lot of levers they can pull, and I think right now they're just trying to like figure that out.
And I think, yeah, they had to be careful because a lot of people have been here for like, 6 months, a year and a half. So, and there's going to be people who are brand new and they don't have a chance. I mean, part of it's like, well, that's fair, right? If I was in here early and I put in money, then like I deserve some stuff versus someone just showing up, right? But yeah, that's why I kind of like that idea better. And that's why I think MCP will be fun versus just airdrops, because typically with airdrops, right, everyone buys a set to get the airdrop and then they all dump and no one cares about it. It's just
Yeah.
like gone in the wind. So that's some kind of ongoing utility or chances of a drop or white like that is, I like that a lot. But I don't think they would pick specific sets because that's showing favoritism, right? And
I
then
think
like,
so
why'd you pick
too.
this set instead of that set? But
Yeah.
MCP will hopefully take care of that. But yeah, I think there's some things on the item that not just like they should get them, but they kind of do deserve some kind of redemption, whether it's,
Yeah.
utility or access or just something. And I think Golden Moments is up there for sure as something that deserves
Mhm.
for a lot of reasons to get some kind of reward.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, Bob Sales, thanks for stopping by, man. And Taco Breaks, I appreciate it. Guys, go please check out Taco Breaks' channel. Awesome content there. And of course, I did put Pixel Trader's Twitter down in the description below. So if you guys want to follow him on Twitter, just put it down there. Just follow him. He pretty much posts every day. I know you're very active on Twitter, and I would say over the last couple months, you've been hosting some spaces, probably like once or twice a week on spaces, or at least you join other people's spaces as well. So yeah, Pixel Trader's been a pretty active person in the community, and he's obviously very well known for that Miles Morales like profile picture. So Bob Sales, Michael Campa, Taco Breaks, Fun of the Sun, Austin, everyone that's been hanging out in here and chatting it up. I appreciate your time and hanging out here, of course, every day. And Taco Breaks, what a community here. I love it. I love it too, guys. So hope you guys take care. Pixel Traders, anything else you want to say before you sign off?
Yeah, good luck on the drops. Thanks for everyone who stopped by. This is like my first like YouTube live stream. You'll see me in spaces. You'll see me on Twitter. Sometimes I'll go up there and talk and kind of share my ideas and thoughts. And I do think that we do have honestly a super awesome community. So 95% of people are positive. They're fun. They're good people at heart. So I don't listen too much to the 5% of people who are causing all the problems. But yeah, thanks for having me on. We'll have to do this again later. Again, like I said, good luck on the potion drop. We'll see what happens. And looking forward to also getting some more details on the AMA. And then, of course, first appearance Hulk. There's a lot of stuff going on, like 24/7.
Yeah, always stuff going on. So yeah, we'll see you around. Next time I have you on, maybe we'll have to talk more about TF2 or something like that. I don't know. That was fun. I know we kind of got sidetracked there for like 20 minutes, but it was kind of fun talking about it. And I think a lot of stuff does correlate between the two. But anyway, thanks again, Fun Under the Sun, Taco Breaks. Thanks for the extra $5. I appreciate it. And good luck tomorrow on the drop, guys. Well, take care. Make sure to double and triple check all of your listings so you don't screw yourself over.